man speaking in the city square, trying to tell somebody that he cares. Can you blame the voice of youth for asking what is true? Yeah, the ones that you're calling wild are gonna be the leaders in a little while. When will the lonely voice of youth cry, what is true? This our world's waking to a newborn babe, and I solemnly swear it'll be their way. You better help that voice of youth find what is true. And the lonely voice of youth cries, what is true?
All right. Welcome, everybody. It's another Friday live stream, and we are streaming live. That's what live stream means. And we're talking about outliers, chaos, and the margin because this came out. And look, I mean, the reason why I'm doing this is because I saw Kale Zeldin posted on Twitter about doing a live stream yesterday, and I was like, oh cool, I'll check out some Kale stuff. And it hadn't occurred to me like, why didn't I get notified of all of Kale's videos? And so I go on YouTube, and I was subscribed to Kale's channel, of course, but like notifications weren't on. I'm like, YouTube. So I fixed that, and I watched. I had other things to do yesterday. I actually left the house. I don't know if people know about this, but there's your house, and then there's things outside it, and sometimes people get together. It's very scary. I don't necessarily recommend it, but sometimes you got to do what you got to do. So yeah, I watched a little bit of it, and then I had to go. But that was the inspiration for the live stream topic. So thanks, Kale. This live stream's for you. And I just want to do my quick little overview of all the things I'm seeing. Like, one of the things I'm seeing is this outlier problem, right? Where there's a lot of flood of information of outlier data, right? Like exceptions, tiny incidents, and people are using that to justify all kinds of things. Like, oh, this is why I was wrong about the election because, 20 years ago, like, it's like, really? Like, what are you, what are you doing? Right. And the outliers are important, right? Because if you have to keep making exceptions to your rules, right, you have a system that does a bunch of predictions, and you have to make exceptions to that over and over again. Your rules are wrong. Like, it's not that hard. Like, you don't understand. People get upset. I'm like, yeah, but really, it just means that you're wrong and you can fix it. Like, it doesn't. You don't add more exceptions on and more exceptions. That's not how that works. Right. It could be that, the system you came up with for prediction or prescription or whatever was perfectly accurate, for a time, and that time has ended, because that happens. But yeah, people are just getting nuts with the outliers and exceptions, and oh, that was a a once in 1,000-year flood. Yeah, but you said that 10 years ago when the last flood came in. Maybe your system's wrong. I don't know what to tell you about how this works. But also, like, this is the world we've been living in for a lot longer than you realize. It became obvious in 2014, but it was 10 years before that at least, right? So, oh no, it's been worse than this for longer than we realize. And I've been seeing a lot of sort of silliness, and people are getting excited about the high price of Bitcoin, although I heard it just crashed for some reason, which doesn't surprise me at all. Unstable, crazy ideas tend to do that. And then we have all kinds of things going on where people are like, don't do the bad thing. And it's like the things aren't bad, right? Context makes things good or bad. We have to consider the context. We can't just say, jailing people is wrong. Like if jailing bad people is right. It isn't that hard. But people are using all kinds of and scrambling for all kinds of things. And we have this epidemic that just sweeping everywhere of this automatic sort of engagement with redemption. Right. Whenever anybody hears about bad behavior, let's redeem it immediately. Any excuse. Oh, they converted to Christianity. Who cares if they were a hooker yesterday and their OnlyFans account is still working? I don't know. I don't understand. But we're so quick to grab the outlier, to grab the exception, and people are being attacked. Like you've attacked somebody who we've redeemed, and therefore you're the bad person. And it's like, what is this pattern? When did this become a thing? Right. But it's a thing. And I'm seeing it all over the place in all kinds of weird, like, I didn't expect people to turn this quickly. Right. So we're seeing the chaos and the destruction of all order, basically, which are roughly the same thing, but not exactly. Left, right, and center. And the conversation has very much switched to the sacred, right? And Peugeot has a good take on this, and everybody else's take is stupid, so don't listen to them. And it's kind of amazing that these themes come up, and people don't see the connection between these themes in different, we'll say, areas, or using, say, different language or whatever. But they're all actually talking about the same things. They're using slightly different language in some cases using the exact same words. In fact, I heard a string of my words come out. Oh, I'm beginning to think the individual is a lie and that we're really just persons connected to the world. And I was like, well, that sounds a lot like what I've been saying for years. I wish you guys had all listened to that, but I guess we're at where we're at. And mouthpiece matters. And we keep like, nobody likes to hear that. Mouthpiece matters. Mouthpiece matters a lot for whatever reason, right? This vaunted information that everybody likes, information's not relevant if it doesn't come from the right mouthpiece. And there isn't one mouthpiece for all audiences, so that everything's worse, right? Just panic, right? And that's where we're at. But most of this is due to the destruction of order. And it doesn't have to result in chaos. I mean, you have to destroy to create, right? But we are in chaotic times. And that is because we want to fool ourselves using outlier data. We want that single exception to become the rule. That's a flattening of the world, by the way. When you're trying to remove the margin, you're flattening the world. You're squishing it down. There's no margin. It's all center. No, we can't include everybody in everything. And you wouldn't want to. Like, this is bad. And it's also about how to ignore what's missing. You can ignore what's missing, and you'll come to very strange conclusions about the world. Right. It's easy to say, oh, look, this guy built a company. Elon Musk has nothing but corporate successes. No, it's not even close to true, right? You just ignored all his failures. Right? Like, oh, this guy's, did it in one try. Maybe, but almost never happens. And if they did it in one try, they're probably just lucky. The odds that you're just lucky if you didn't one try are like really close to 100%, by the way. Right. You didn't come by it honestly because you didn't fail first. You didn't get the sacrifice. Your failure is the sacrifice to the future success. That's what failure is. It's also the only way you learn. If you're not failing, you're not learning. Sorry. No one likes to fail, but that's dumb. I love to fail. It's great. It means I've got the opportunity to learn something. If I'm humble enough, you can fail and not learn things. That just means you're an arrogant prick, but you can do that. I can't stop you. I wish you wouldn't, but also it's not my business. And it's the thing. You can imagine things that are and are not using small amounts of very abnormal information, right? You can fool yourself with rarity. You can use a rare event and convince yourself of something that, isn't true. And the example I want to give here is I'm watching Kale Zeldin's little stream yesterday. And look, there's easy tells for this stuff. I don't understand people sometimes. I'm like, you can tell when somebody doesn't know what the hell they're talking about on a subject. It's really easy. It's really easy. Aside from all the logical contradictions in their statements, which, everybody wants logic and reason, rationality, and I hate to tell it, but y'all suck at it. Like, you're just terrible at all of you. You're awful at it. You're terrible, 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 terrible. You miss logical inconsistencies left, right, and center. You just miss them, and you make those logical errors constantly. I mean, look, logic is hard for humans because we're emotional creatures. We're not rational creatures at all. I mean, we're creatures capable of rationality for short bursts of time and at great, great cost. Sorry, like it's not going to save you. The religion of rationality, which is a sub cult of the age of gnosis, is not going to save you. I'm sorry, like it's not how it works. So I'm listening to Steve Sojak, I think that's what his name is, and he's saying, look, these aliens, we got to figure out what they're up to. And, the reason why we have to figure out what they're up to is because, somebody pointed this out, like they're clearly not benevolent because otherwise they would have stopped us from using nuclear weapons. And they clearly have the capability to do that because he had just cited a bunch of instances where people said like, oh, strange object above base, now missiles don't work, sort of scenarios, of which there are several, by the way, well known in the UFO community. But the thing is, like, if you just watched a few episodes of Ancient Aliens, and I have, unfortunately, although I really enjoy that show because it shows you all the patterns. You can see them play out these patterns. I'm like, I love these patterns misapplied. When you misapply patterns, that's comedy. That's what comedy is the misapplication of patterns, largely, not exclusively. And that's why Ancient Aliens is the most hysterical show like ever. It's just fantastic. All the speech patterns and the patterns they use in language, and all the enchantment they use, awesome. They say on that show on a regular basis, we didn't become interesting to the aliens until we set off the nuclear weapons. So based on that, the thesis that they would have stopped us from launching nuclear bombs is obviously false. Yes. Right. That's what the majority of the UFO people believe. Which, by the way, is the same story as Godzilla, the original Godzilla movies. I'm just saying, like, if you want patterns, this is navigating patterns. There's some patterns, same pattern, different objects, right? One's Godzilla, a mutated radiation lizard under the ocean, and the other one are these, we don't know what they are. They're aliens, right? They might be gray, they might be pink, they might be blue, they might have polka dots. I don't know. There might be robots. Who can tell these things, right? And they have these little round spaceships and lozenge-shaped spaceships and dual saucer spaceships and all these other configurations. Oh, you didn't know that? Well, they do. This is the funny part. Like everybody just picks. They pick one or two maybe, and they don't talk about all the sightings, right? They just pick what they want, right? But the whole alien thing is all outlier data, all of it. It's all margin data. The vast majority of pilots don't see something strange. And the problem is strange things happen all the time. Like all the time. Is it in the past? We just call them miracles and move on with our day and see, yeah, miracles happen. Like actually, like this, right? So yeah, miracles, whatever. It's cool. And you can go, yeah, but science has dispelled the miracles because now we know how to predict the eclipses. And so all of those miracles, and so we can keep going with that pattern. We can keep discovering what causes the miracles and do away with them in the world. Please don't. Like, don't even try to do that. What are you doing? You're insane. Like, that's nuts. That makes you a psychopath. Like, technically, like, I don't even know why you would want to remove the mystery from the universe. Why would you do such a thing? Why would you even try to do? Why would you even think that such a thing was a good idea? Like, what? In fact, why don't you actively stop everyone from trying to do that? That sounds like a way better strategy to me, like way healthier for the culture. And it's probably not a coincidence that we've tried to like remove this marginal stuff, remove the mystery, and then say like everything's gotten worse. It's a little weird. Like, I'm not saying correlation isn't causation, but also you can't rule out causation when you have correlation. You can when you don't, and no one ever does that, and I don't. Actually, you know why? It's very strange behavior. Uh, a lot of the weird sightings, and they're getting reported on the TV now. I noticed the other day, or no, a few hours ago, I caught some, mainstream news, one of the local channels. Um, reporting on UFO sightings. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me right now? What is going on? Why were you reporting on UFO sightings? And, it had the number of sightings and the number of unexplained sightings. And I'm like, I, that number's probably been stable for, I don't know, 10,000 years. Like, seriously, like, I don't even, what are you doing? We have Project Blue Book. None of this is new. There's always anomalous sightings. I've had anomalous sightings myself. I'm not saying aliens aren't real. I'm not saying anything like that. I don't need to say that. I'm saying that who cares? We're paying attention to a marginal set of events when we could be paying attention to something important. I'm not saying like I regret watching Kale's podcast or anything because I absolutely do not. Because like now we're here and this is a great topic. I was like, never would have thought of that. Like, why would I come up with this? People can't be doing this, right? Oh, no, 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 they are. It's okay. I've seen it now. I believe you. Like, I go with observation. I don't need all this, like, careful scientific trigonometric calculation. It's like, oh, okay, I see what they're doing. I see the pattern. We'll do a live stream on the pattern. That's what we do here. So it's just people can't tell the margin from the center. And if you can't tell the margin from the center, what are you doing? Are you rejecting the center in favor of the margin? Are you trying to bring down the institutions that are in the center to create a space so that you can occupy the center? Because some people are definitely trying to do that, right? And that's bad. Let's not do that. And why are you doing that? You're doing it for yourself, right? Because you think you'll be one of the people occupying that center. Is that you one of them revolutionaries, huh? Yeah, they always let the revolutionaries win, and then they put them up against the wall and murder them all, by the way. Always, every single time, every single time. It's not a coincidence, it's a pattern, right? The Bolsheviks are all dead. Oops. Yeah, Lenin, Trotsky, they didn't have to get their hands dirty. It's all good. Or is it because you can't fit in? You're like, oh, that center, doesn't center enough for me or doesn't include me because I'm part of the margin, maybe, right? Or is it because you don't want to fit in? You're like, I don't want to do that. Okay, fair. Like, are you refusing to fit in? Because maybe you are. Or are you unable to fit in and you want more than you can have or more than you can hold? Ah, ah. I've met so many people that were like, well, I want that, that manager job. And I've watched them get the manager job and like, no, I don't, I'm out. I'm out of here. Right. And some of them don't do that. They go, oh, no, no. And then they destroy the department because they tried to take a job they couldn't handle. They just thought they were good at it or would be good at it. And they weren't. They were terrible at it. It happens all the time. It's because you're a poor judge of yourself. At the end of the day, you're the worst judge of yourself that there is, in fact, like by far. This is the problem. You think you know what you're up to? Jordan Peterson, right? You don't know what you're up to. It's more than you can have. It's more than you can hold. It's more than you're ready for. I mean, maybe someday you can hold. Maybe not. Maybe it'd be no days where you'd be a good manager, or no days where you'd be a good programmer, or no days where you'd be a good plumber, or no days where you'd be a good driver. Like these things happen. I know people in all of those categories and way more. I know them. And most of them, they're like, you know what? Once I accepted it, my life became better. Oh, okay, cool. Your life could become better too. What do you reject the center because you're in the margin? And you're like, oh, I'm here. I don't want to be here. I don't want to be considered to be. Why not? You have a place there. And are you sure that's not what you're doing? And why bring things down? Why destroy things? Why crush the center when you can revivify it instead? Or the margin for that matter. You make the margin better. Make the margin marginal again. Indeed. Why aren't we revivifying these things? Why aren't you? Because that is the core question at some point. And the thing is, you can consider something like the culture war as a fight over education, because right now that's where the fight seems to be on the forefront, right? I'm not the whole culture war is big, um, but they're not describing education. They're describing formation, right? And they want formation of your children, right? They want formation in your college. They want to form you, right? And that's what the fight is. Like that's what, oh, we got to fight wokeism. We're fighting formation of a certain type in a certain way. And yes, yes, that's you should be doing that. These are bad people doing bad things. Don't let them do bad things. And formation's not optional. And so the problem has been for a while what happened in the breach and the collapse of the quote education system. And in that breach, many cults have been born. And we have been living in that for a long time, decades at this point. And we just didn't really understand it that way. And, small channel. I don't think we're going to understand it that way anytime soon. Uh, I don't have that much hope that people will understand what I'm saying. It's too easy. People don't like easy answers. They're looking for a marginal answer, a difficult answer, something that's hard to understand. I'm like, no, this is actually really easy. And we actually know all we need to know about this, like I have for a long time. And we don't like those answers. I get that. But also, those are the right answers. So then you've got a problem. And then you're like, but what is reality? Oh, you've already rejected it. And that's why you have to ask what it is and where it is. And right. You can see those patterns, hopefully, right? And the thing is, the margin is a place and it gives you the things that you cannot have in the center, right? And if you're in the margin, it gives you a home. You may not like that home, but look, people in a mansion always want a bigger mansion. Like I don't like Crimea River, right? Like I don't know what to tell you. And the thing is, the people in the margin don't need to be in the center. They don't need to leave their home, nor should they. They shouldn't even be included in the center. They wouldn't be comfortable there, right? Do not reject the best home that you can hold and that can hold you. And that might be the margin. But there's nothing wrong with that. It's there for you if that's where you are. And if you're not there, why do you want to be in the margin? Like, but some people do. They're like, oh, I'm unhappy with where I grew up, where my home is, where I've been. These are the homeless people in Harvard Square that I hung out with. Upper middle class to wealthy families, every single one of them. But they wanted to be homeless. I'm like, why? Why do you want to be in the margin, bro? I got thrown out. I didn't have a choice. I don't know. Why do you want this? You don't want this. You're LARPing. You're faking yourself out. I knew lots of people like that. Took me a long time to figure out what was going on. I'm sitting there in the middle of it, didn't see any of it, clearly in the beginning. I was like, oh yeah, they all come from, broken homes. And no, they didn't. They were just spoiled rich kids who were upset they weren't better spoiled. Actually, it was freaking dirty, smelly hippies. I want to live like a dirty, smelly hippie, even though I have access to actual millions. Okay. I don't know why. Always out of work too. They always had money and they were always out of work. I'm like, man, if I was out of work, I starved for real. I was like, what is going on? Why? And they all had 10-year-old cars, but they were high-end 10-year-old cars that were well cared for. I'm getting free cars, doing favors for people, and because I know people. And they are junk boxes, and they break down all the time, which is why I know how to fix cars. So it's not all bad. I'm not complaining. I'm just saying this is what happened. But if you're in the margin, like if that's where you belong, what's wrong with that? And the thing is, if you don't know where the center is and where the margin is, then you don't know where you end and other things begin. Oh, Mark's talked about that before. Yes, I have. Big problem. You need to know boundaries, especially yours. You need to know the container that is you. Super important. Super important. And the thing is, we're not following the rule. And the rule is the general case. It's the exception that proves the rule. I grew up with that. Still true. And exceptions should remain exceptions. They should remain outside in the margin where they belong. Otherwise, chaos ensues. And that's not to say we don't occasionally make an exception to the rule to include the margin. We do. We just don't do it for the whole margin ever. And we don't do it all the time. And sometimes we do it badly. And the same is true the other way around. I mean, people get what do you think ostracization is? It's being sent from the center to the margin. People get exiled all the time. That's being sent from the center to the margin. These things, like this is a perfectly functioning system. You may not like how well it functions. I get that. It's being run imperfectly by people. Unfortunately, it seems like people run everything. I mean, that's why they want robots to run everything, because they think that somehow, some way, that robots live in objective material reality and will perfectly implement something. And that's not how any of that works. And so people want, like, well, why can't we redefine marriage to include the outliers who want to be married under conditions that aren't appropriate for marriage? I know, because they're outliers and they belong in the margin. That's it. That's the whole reason. We don't need more. We don't need to add more information to that. It won't help. Because it destroys the world? Because it does? Like that's happening? We're living in it? It's not the only reason, but also it that by itself will do it for sure. And we know that. We know this because history shows us this. It doesn't matter how you destroy marriage, you can increase it. You can say, oh, you know what? You can have a harem. That's one method of polygamy that destroys marriage and also can't survive culturally for, way longer than you would think, way longer than anyone would like, maybe, but also not long enough, not longer than the alternative. It's a good hand. And you see these talks like with Dawkins. I did the Dawkins Peterson. I'm all done with that series. We're gonna roll it out here. It's gonna take a few weeks. And of course I've got my my one with Vervaeke there that just poor John. I don't know what happened to John. Very valued teacher once long ago, and now, but they're trying to tie everything into the center. It's like, no, dude, don't do that. Follow the rule. Let the exceptions be exceptions. Let the margins exist. Stop trying to drag them all together. Stop trying to unify the everything. The many in the one. It's just so. It's so bad. And the thing is, there's a lot of stuff hidden in the world, right? Like we didn't used to be aware of margins. Like we knew margins existed, right? But we didn't know much about them. And there's a few crazy people believe in UFOs or whatever, believe that what is their belief? I mean, it's a fundamentally religious position, right? Which is, if you knew that aliens were real, whatever would constitute convincing evidence, then everything would change, right? Because aliens are bigger than us and they affect everything. Huh. Bigger than us and affects everything. I wonder if there's another word for that. Nah, never mind. So, fundamentally religious. So we try to reveal all the details in that margin. And that margin is not the margin. It's a subsection of the margin, right? And so we unhide those hidden things, right? But the thing is, lots of things are hidden, and it's hidden things that move us, right? Unless you're a materialist, in which case you're wrong about everything. And I mean that technically. You are technically wrong about everything. Right? The world does not move primarily through material, and material does not primarily influence us. That's not true. Material primarily constrains us. That's true. That's true. Right? But it does not move us, and that's different. Those two things are vastly couldn't be more different, actually. Right? The thing that sort of pushes you in a direction or pulls you in a direction or whatever, and the thing that you bump up against when you're moving. Those are very different concepts. I get the feeling that nobody understands what I just said there. I mean, not my audience does. Of course, you're all genius Muppets. But the little slow Muppets like Dr. Verveke and Dr. Peterson and certainly Dawkins and poor Alex O'Connor, and they don't understand that difference. You can tell from the way they talk, they do not understand that difference. So the hidden things move us. The things that move us are hidden. Yes, that is true. But in the age of gnosis, where knowledge is propositions, that's the propositional theory that John Vervaeke talks about, right? And propositions are the highest value, or knowledge as propositions is the highest value, right? Because that's the highest value, you want to reveal everything. We want the knowledge of those things. We want to see what's underneath. We want to unhide the things. We want to lift the veil. But why? What if knowledge of those hidden things destroys the world? And no one talks about that possibility, right? But that's what's happening. It's not even a possibility. We can be sure of this. We're experiencing it right now. And how many hidden things are you going to reveal? How many hidden things are you going to all of them? Can you track all of them? Can you track half of them? Can you track a third of them? You can't. You can't track one of them. Because anything in the world has lots of detail, an infinite amount, technically speaking. Unless you're going after unity. Oh, that's what the quote Neoplatonics, which don't exist, by the way, meant. Yes, that's what they meant. You want to journey down or up? It matters. That's what they're talking about. Yes. What draws you the highest? Is that the only thing that draws you? No, because you're a crazy person and you're a Muppet. That's the issue. What if knowledge of the hidden things destroys the world? What if it destroys your attention and your ability to attend because there's just too much of it? There's too many hidden things. We start looking this way and that way and that way and that way at these hidden things and those hidden things. And what are people doing at the secret biolabs? What are they hiding at Area 51? What about the shadow government? What's going on over there in the war in Ukraine? Yeah, but what about Poland? What do they do? What, are you high? Like, what are you doing? You can't do that. Why? Every minute you spend on one of these marginal issues is a minute you could be spending on participating in unifying the world. Like, it's up to you, bro. But also, could you not pay attention to the freaking margins all the time? Maybe give the margins marginal attention, unless you're in them. I mean, if you're in them, you're in them. But then just be happy. Do the margin thing, man. Don't harsh my mellow in the center. Like, what are you doing? and stop redeeming the freaking margins every 10 seconds. The History Channel has entire shows on margin stuff. I look, I've seen a bunch of Ancient Aliens, and it's gotten better over the years too, because it's like if you see the progression, it's like it's awesome. It's so funny. It's completely hysterical. And the local enchantment patterns are intact. They use the same lines every episode, right? Ancient what is the term they use? Uh, ancient alien. They used to use ancient alien theorists, and then they moved to some other. They're trying to simulate profession, right? The ancient alien experts. Ancient alien. It progresses over time. It's very funny, but one of the things they were talking about in the Kale Zeldin live stream was so they changed the with radar you can scan a bunch of frequencies based on roughly speed. I know it's not scanning, but it is actually technically scanning. I don't want to get into that. I actually know too much about that. So in radar you can change what you're sensitive to, and of course they set the sensitivity so that big planes in the sky. And then what happened was China flew balloons over the United States, and then people saw them, and of course they weren't picked up on the radar because the radar is not sensitive to balloons, because we put up balloons all the time. And if you made it sensitive to balloons, you see all the weather balloons, and it turns out we still use lots of weather balloons, and I do mean lots, all the time. And so nobody wants to radar crowded with insignificant weather balloons because we see them all the time. And so because of the balloon blow up, they said, all right, we're gonna, top down, right? Stupidity, top down Muppets who don't know they're Muppets or doing the Muppet thing. Say, all right, well, we're gonna make the radars more sensitive, and now we see more anomalous stuff. Yeah, that's called math. That should be expected. But no, it's proof that the aliens have been there all along, and we've been ignoring them with it. And look, it's just more of this stuff. And again, I'm not saying there aren't aliens or anything like that. I really don't care because it doesn't affect my life, and it's never going to, by the way. Which is the core problem. Like, why are you worried about things that would not change your life? I don't understand. War in Ukraine doesn't change my life. Sorry. It might change into something that changes your life, but that's a very different statement. Don't get those two things confused. Pay attention to things when they become relevant, not before, right? But like aliens, they're out there, maybe, I don't know. But all the time you waste paying attention to that. Aside from watching Ancient Aliens and learning all about enchantment, because 2-3 episodes of Ancient Aliens will teach you a lot of enchantment very, very quickly. And if you watch it and you don't get it, and then you start wearing a tinfoil hat, I apologize. Don't watch it if you're prone to enchantment. You'll fall right into it. When you're engaged with these things that can't affect your life, you're wasting time. You're wasting energy. You're wasting attention. And we need entertainment, or distraction is probably better. What is it? Low cognitive load distraction. So, yes, Ancient Aliens, just not too much or other things. And there's a lot of these things you can get involved in. So one of the things I really like that I watch to this day is Gold Rush. Gold Rush is a great show. It's on Discovery Channel. I still watch it. It's fantastic. I love it. Now 11 seasons, so you're seeing this maturation, and the show started out with completely different people on it, even, and now and then one of the people was like 16 when he started on the show, and now he's a multi-million-dollar gold miner, right? And so there's a lot of margin to pay attention to. But if you're in the center, pay attention to the center. And whatever part of the margin you're in, pay attention to that part of the margin. And I mean, margins are tough. They move a lot more than the center by definition. And that sucks. But like, you need to pay your attention there and not your attention to the center. And if you're not ready, willing, and able to make the sacrifices required to be in the center, you can't be in the center. I'm sorry. And if you can, your journey there is going to be long and difficult and awful. And we're constantly trying to redeem these things. We're constantly trying to say, yeah, but aliens, bro. Well, I know that person's a bad person, yesterday, but they've converted. Oh, I know that this person like pushed a bunch of untested chemicals on everybody, but you know what? We shouldn't be mean and go after them. Of course we should. Like, why are you trying to redeem them? Is it just that you're afraid that you won't be, you know, treated kindly for your sins? Well, maybe you shouldn't be, first of all. Let's start there, right? Let's start there. Right. But I mean, if people don't confess and repent and do their penance, I no punishment is too severe for you. I'm sorry. Like that's just where I'm at. Like none. You haven't learned your lesson. It's that simple. This isn't hard. And if you don't have a mechanism for that, fair enough. A lot of people don't. It's a lot of mechanisms. Needs a hierarchy to hold all those mechanisms and to hold your sin, quite honestly. Then you're screwed. Yep, you're screwed. Yeah, you are. Don't do that. It's not hard. Is that hard? It didn't seem hard. The don't do that part. Sacrifice, submit, and like get in line. I can't help you. It's gonna happen anyway. And the question is, how hard is it gonna be on you? And how much destruction to the world are you gonna cause to make it harder on yourself? Because that's all that's happening. And the thing is, when you make everything about knowledge, about lifting that veil, revealing that margin, right? Showing all the detail, like every little fact, right? You remove all the mystery, all the possibility, and all the potential from the world. It's the trifecta of evil. Maybe no, I'm a no on evil still. I mean, maybe you're not a no on evil, but I am. So please stop. Please don't do that. We have enough chaos, attention stealing bullshit to deal with. We don't need more. We don't need more gobbledygook guru peddlers spewing on about Neoplatonism or free energy or whatever other kind of garbage nonsense religion they're foisting on you. We don't need any more. We need less. Focusing on the wrong information is a great way to get lost or wander in the desert, but a poor way to live. It's wonderful to increase paranoia in the world from 0 to not 0 or from 5 to 6 or whatever. It's a great way to increase general mental illness, right? To up the anxiety level for everybody. Um, you could make people split personalities this way. I mean, it's fantastic for all that. It's an awesome way to destroy cooperation, right? It's fantastic to be opposing your government, institutions that have been useful for hundreds of years and suddenly aren't. I don't know, maybe fix them instead. It seems like a very local, quick problem to fix. I don't know why you'd want to like rebuild the whole thing from scratch. That seems kind of stupid, right? Um, you can disagree, right? And those people who agree in the wrong way, all this stuff is great. We could focus on all this wrong stuff. It's a double bonus. It's a win-win. Oh, wait. For evil, like I'm still in no on E. Can we stop? Can we not do this? Is that possible anymore? I don't know. Like we don't seem to be even recognizing our own rebellion. We don't want to cooperate. We want opponent processing. No, stop. Just stop. There's no reason to do any of this. Put your effort towards the good, towards the center or the margin. If you're in the margin, put your effort towards the margin, man. Make it a better margin. Like, why can't we just be where we're at, center or margin, and make it better by making ourselves better first? Like, just like Peterson talks about. Like, this isn't hard. Like, all the information you need is available. You don't need more information. More information will not help, but it will make things worse. So I know, maybe no. And the fact that people who measure the sciences, if the Nobel Prize is a measure, uh, are doing so differently now isn't a strong case in favor of other sciences if they haven't made any advancements in 50 years but have been getting awards. That is an indictment of the award system. Science is a margin. The best people in science are the margin in science. Most people in science are not in the margin. The Pareto principle is real. Jordan Peterson talks about this. Nassim Taleb does a much better job. By the way, read all his books. They're great, right? You can see the corruption in what I just said. Like, it's right there. And the fact that you switch targets in your corrupt system isn't very impressive. Why are we paying attention to Nobel Prizes? I regularly joke that, like I'll discover a new food and I'll be like, I don't know who made this food. They should get the Nobel Prize. These other people, right? And always my Nobel Prizes, or they're for features in cars, whatever, stupid things. But there's stupid things that I use and that are useful. And I'm like, no, this is what we should give out prizes for. People that do simple, easy things that people actually use and participate with and can cooperate with. That's where the Nobel Prizes should go. It's a common joke that I use all the time. If you've been around me long enough, you'll have heard me do that. I'll just say, this is genius. Somebody should win the Nobel Prize for this, right? This is all marginal stuff, and we're paying attention to it. And the thing is, you can just look at the corruption of the medical system by biology through the work of Dawkins all by himself. That it's out there. Now people are starting to realize it. Oh, he wrote this paper. People took it way too seriously. His thesis was actually wrong. And these medical retards took it up. And now we have medical muppetry. And in countries that didn't take Dawkins' ridiculous materialistic thesis seriously, their medicine's better. Oh, weird. It's almost like we shouldn't have been paying attention to nutty freaking PhD guys who write stupid books poorly and also reveal the fact that they're poor programmers and probably shouldn't be trusted with anything else. Because we can't write a save feature for your evolutionary development program, then maybe you shouldn't touch anything ever. Seriously. Maybe would you like fries with that? Might be the best you can do. And the thing is, we're giving out prizes in individual ontologies, or we're giving out the prize in the ontology, but only based on how it affects other specific ontologies. What is that? It's like the marginal margin. This is ridiculous. And the margin self-references eventually. Why are we doing this? And the thing is, thinking about the margins, dealing with the margins, going, oh, but what about this thing that almost never happens? The people in the margins love that sort of thinking because then they are important. They're more important than the center, or as important as the center. It's equality all around. I mean, this removal of the margins is nothing more than equality doctrine at the end of the day. It's also a flattening of the world. Those are the same thing too, right? You flatten the world, you squish it up, you have equality. Of course you do. I agree. Also, equality is bad. Evolution would fail. All evolutionary theory set is wrong if equality exists. And when equality exists, it all stops working. For real. That should be a hint, even to the materialists, that this is a bad plan. And yet here we are. And when you're important in the margins, or important enough to change society for, or something retarded and redefine marriage, or I don't know, special laws that call you out as part of the marginalized group, right? It's like you're at the center, normalized and acceptable. But that's the flood. That's the dawn of equality. That's the world slowly dies and everyone goes, oh no, and proposes their own useless, incorrect, ill-informed solution to a problem they already are creating and perpetuating. Them. They're doing it. Dawkins is whining about the problem he created. Peterson's whining about a problem he contributed to. Vervaeke, don't even get me started. Like, you are the problem. You. No one else. You. And you're not cooperating with other people. And that's why. It's not that hard. You're refusing cooperation. That is the problem. That is the intimacy crisis. That's what it is. And look, we are beholden to those people in the world who do things. Period. End of statement. And look, you aren't one of them, or you'd be doing stuff. And no, this didn't apply to you, by the way. It's not that hard. Am I doing stuff? When Mark says that, do I feel bad? No, I know he's not talking to me and I move on. So if you got upset, yes. Yeah, you got upset because you are the problem. That's why you got upset. Just to let you know. Like, I hate to be blunt, but like, oh no, I don't hate to be blunt. Never mind. Truth is important. It's more important than your damn feelings. Sorry. But it's how it is. There's nothing I can do about it. The world is this way. The people who do stuff, you're beholden to them. And when the margins take over and the people in the margins who are doing stuff there do stuff, it's a problem because they need to do stuff only in the margins. Otherwise, you get criminal organizations running Chicago because that happened. Right. You don't want that to happen, though. Like, that's why the Batman story is so popular. You don't want the criminal organizations to run your damn city. Right. But they do stuff too, man. Some of them, not all of them. A lot of the people in the margins are the most productive people we have in society, for sure. But you do not want to be beholden to them simply because they do things. You only want to be beholden to people who are doing good things, true things, and beautiful things. All three, not one of the three. One of the three is not working. It's not going to cut it. That's already a bad idea. It's got to be all three of the things. That's why there's three of them and not one of them. If it could be reduced to oneness, the distributed cognition called culture would have been able to figure that out by now. And even if it's possible, you're not figuring it out now in your lifetime anyway. So just stop. Just stop. Just go with what you got. It's already better than you are because it's already outlived you. And you're not going to outlive it ever. So, like, what are you doing? I don't understand. Like, I genuinely don't get it. At some point, your vaunted knowledge and all your inference, and you can't figure this out. It's so clear. The only reason you can't figure it out is that you're so blind, you shouldn't do anything. And I mean that technically ever, right? You should just shut up and do what you're freaking told because you're just not able to see the world. And fair enough. I mean, maybe that's the case. I don't know. Right? Or you're willfully ignorant, in which case you also shouldn't do anything because you're willfully ignorant. Like, I don't like the solution's the same either way. I don't really care about the detail. See how that works? You don't need to care about the detail. More information won't help. Still working on that video. Part of that is talking through this. I'm trying to tie a lot of stuff together here because I have no choice. We are in chaos. We need to tie a lot of stuff together. Bad news. The good news is you can do that with like a handful of simple patterns for real. And then you don't need all these complicated theories and all this, theoretical grammar. Oh my God, John, what are you talking about? Theoretical grammar. I thought my head was going to explode. I'm like, why do you just smash random words together and expect to be made sense of? And why are people hearing you when you talk? That's even more terrifying. This social justice. Say anything. It's nonsense. It's babble. What are you doing? I'll give random description. Oh, fantastic. You smashed two words together and give a random description. Yay. Why? Why are we doing this? We have a center. Let's go with that. It's thousands of years old in the West. Like, what's going on? It's the result of a distributed cognition through time that's smarter than you'll ever be. Chillax. Like, why is this hard for people? Why do you want to pay attention to outlier events all the time? Why do you want to redeem them? Why can't they be okay being outlier events? Why do they have to not be that? I don't understand. Like, what's the big deal? Why is this a problem? Why are you trying to solve it? Why are you redeeming hookers on the internet? I don't understand. Like, why is that your job? Why are you going after good people in favor of bad people? I don't even get it. Like, what's going on? Like, what's because we don't know right from wrong. Because we're paying attention to beauty, which is enchanting. We're paying attention to what we think truth is, and we don't even have a definition of truth or a way to determine it. Right. Right. We're ignoring goodness deliberately. Right. Right. Because we don't have a way of understanding these things. And instead of solving that problem, which would be a good problem to focus on, by the way, we're just running around creating more flood and worrying about the ancient aliens. I prefer the lizard people. So does Jonathan Peugeot. I was so thrilled when I found that out. I'm like, yes, French Canada for the win. Lizard people are the best. That's the best conspiracy going for sure. Can confirm. That is all I have on that. Do you want to talk more about the margin and the center and the importance and the chaos and all that stuff? I'm here. I've got my Sam Pell. I've got my Muppet Cup, right? Have you considered? You should. You really should. I don't have any snack, but I've got some Table Rock tea here. Quite good. The Westminster. And yeah, I'm going to go through some comments. Oh, we get quite a few comments here today. Yes, Don. I'm just, you got to keep reminding me about the museums thing. I had so I've been doing a bunch of commentary videos, and I've made reasonable progress given all the disruptions with trips and funerals and finding out my family's worse than I thought or ever could have possibly imagined. Which, look, matriarch dies, things change. Patriarch too, right? Like, people die in the family that are all family true colors, right? So I had a bunch of videos ready and queued and just never released them. And I'm like, why? I mean, all these people did all this wonderful work for me, and I'm like, can't remember to release the video. I'd remember like 4 times in the day and then just never do the work. And I had a cold, so I think that was part of it. The cold is over now, so hopefully it's all over. Dawn, we watched a congressional hearing in UAP, right, on Jacob's stream, right? Apparently they want to remove the crackpot stigma so more people will. Okay, here's the problem. That's just more flood. What are we going to do when more people report? People see weird things all the time. Like, I don't understand why this knowledge is going to change the world. And that's the thesis. I've had this discussion for decades with lots. I have a huge advantage, right? All the things, and I do mean all the things that Van der Klee is talking about, and Vervaeke and Peterson and everybody else, these are not new discussions, and this isn't even new language. I know you think it is because you haven't seen it before, but it's not new on the internet at all. It's very old. In fact, these are the oldest discussions on the internet, oddly enough. Although, if you understood the pattern, you'd see why that has to be true immediately. I've had these discussions for decades at this point. Like, that's why my arguments are so well honed, and there's a real utility to telling people no, whether you like that or not. It actually works really well. It doesn't work right away. It doesn't always have the effect you want, but actually it's the best thing to do, because drilling down into the argument, getting into more detail makes things worse. Always. I don't want to make things worse. We had Project Blue Book. We've done this before. It doesn't have a positive effect on anything, but it does have a negative effect on everything. And I'm trying to minimize that effect. I don't care if there are space aliens. I actually don't. It doesn't. I'm not going to buy different food at the grocery store. It's not going to happen. I'm not going to change liking Westminster tea from Table Rock Tea Company. I'm not going to stop drinking like, I'm not going to stop my live streams. Now, if they show up and they reveal themselves and a bunch of things change, then that will have happened, and that will change. Until the change happens, it hasn't happened. We keep anticipating the future. That's part of this whole problem. It's part of why we're redeeming hookers on the internet. We're anticipating a future where they have confessed, repented, and done their penance. And that hasn't happened yet. And that's why there's a problem. Like, no, the thing has to happen before you say it happened. Like, but that's the compression of time. That's the flattening of time. It's like, no. Things take time. I hate these things take time. This YouTube channel is taking forever. But it takes time. Like, I'm not complaining. I'm just saying, like, it takes a long time. Tertium comparison. I still can't do it, Andre. Sorry. Talking about the Grays because the Reds got into office. Yes. Yes, the Reds got into office. The Grays are very upset. Don, I want that on a shirt. Make the margin marginal again. Maybe we can get a graphic going with that. We'll talk to the team and see what comes. Why are we tripping over ourselves recently to say ostracization? Yeah, I don't know. Well, because we got rid of shame first. In the 70s, the big thing was getting rid of shame. Ostracization comes along with that, right? Whatever happened to ostracism? That's much easier. Yeah, right. It is. Right. And putting people in the margin deliberately is easy and good for them. You belong in the margin until you're ready to come into the center. And that may be never, by the way. And that might be okay. Right? I mean, it's fine. Handsome and thought they were small and green. Well, some of them are. I mean, this is the problem. Like, if you actually, like, this is what people talk about with rabbit hole, right? Like, yeah, everything's a rabbit hole because you start looking into alien sightings, you find out there's all kinds of alien sightings. And it's like, oh no, what do you do with that? No, it makes everything worse and can never make anything better. RJ, hey, good to see you, man. I hope you're doing well. I thought to ping you and I haven't done it, so I apologize. But I hope you're breathing and Zen sweeping and all that stuff. Ancient Aliens and History Channel is the proof I need. Also, maybe mention how the marginal and like the stranger, right, are still important. Preserve, yeah. Look, we have a place for the marginal. It's not a problem. Like, we have systems in place to deal with this, and we always have. Like, I know that people don't like that we treat people differently, but people are different. Like, and so they actually want different treatment, and they need different treatment. And maybe the treatment you need is not the treatment you want or like, but also it might be the treatment you need. That's how that works. It's weird. Dawn, I'm just a regular Muppet. Also, I drifted off there thinking about ordering a pizza. Hopefully a pepperoni pizza. I can't really have pepperoni pizza anymore, but nitrites. Nitrites and Satan are just same thing, different name. Phoenix, really? Hello there. Long time no talk. The marginalized have been focusing their intersectionality for long enough that the furries are now under the protections of the LGBT community. Yes, furries, man. It still blows my mind to this day. Furries it always gets me. That and a certain story I heard once long ago that kind of opened my eyes back in the day to how weird the world is and how weird people are. Some people have fetishes around watching people smoke. I learned that one day, and it really kind of like smoked my brain a bit. And I've been thinking about it a lot lately. I don't know why. It's good to see you, though. That's very funny. At RJ. But Joe talked about this having tolerance at the margin, right? But if the margin tries to become the center, it creates disorder. Exactly what we've been seeing in recent years. Yes, Don, well said. Yeah, Pajot's talking about this. Everyone's pretending like the margin's been mistreated. I'm like, no, the margin's been overly well treated, and that's what's causing the flood. Because we're letting the margin in, and that's causing a flood, and they're being well treated, and that's bad because they're not reciprocating, right? They're treating the center like the margin and marching down the streets, doing bad things and exemplifying bad behavior. And if you keep the margin in the margin, it can do what it needs to do without corrupting the rest of the world. That's the thing. Or do the Martian thing if you're a ufologist. Yeah, I don't even under these people. Why do you want to be a specialist in? I don't know. Um, Young guy calling the Chinese aliens is xenophobic. Sure. I mean, it might be an insult to the aliens, but Young God, 20 minutes until main card Tyson fight. What a night to be alive. Oh yeah. Jesus, Tyson's 75 years old now. 58 is the new 30. Can confirm. There we go. There we go. Yeah, I don't know how that fight's gonna go. It's gonna be fascinating. I'm not a big fight guy, although I did see Jungle Land. What a movie. What a movie. It's brutal. It's a tough movie. It's a really tough movie, but it was great. Really symbolic. Also, probably in a biography of something. Probably not written. It's 0% fiction in Jungle Land. Anselman, don't let all the mean piranhas annoy you. Yeah, well, there's a lot of them. Don't be piranha annoyed. Yes. Yes. A dynamite idea. Dynamite is how you deal with piranhas. Don, I think there should be at least a plaque somewhere in Brooklyn celebrating the Jewish invention of the cheesecake. Cheesecake should get the Nobel Prize for sure. I've had Nobel Prize cheesecake. That I can confirm. Can confirm. The grammar of reality. Don, don't stop. 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 You will not be forgiven for these crimes. Freaking people, man. Like for Bakey talking to Vanderclay with Peugeot, I'm just like, I mean, Peugeot is great. He is so everything he says makes sense, and everything he says is perfectly correct so far. I'm not all the way through it, but I don't know if I can get through it. And I'm thinking of doing a commentary. If you want to see a commentary on that talk, because I'm thinking of doing it. It's a lot of work, and I've already watched it, so it won't be a reaction commentary. It'll be a regular commentary. But like, oh my god, what are you doing? What are you talking about? Like, I'm just like listening to John. I know John's work really well, better than most other people that have ever walked this earth. And I'm like, I don't even know what you're talking about, John. I have no idea. These words you're using make no sense to me. So, are you still on about last night? No, I'm not ranting about last night, dude. I'm ranting about a pattern. It manifested in that stream, and it occurred to me, it's great. I mean, this is fantastic. You seeing things in the real world feeds my stream because then I go, oh, that pattern's here, here, and here today or this week. Just like these patterns just pop up in the week, and I'm like, oh, this is fantastic. I don't have to think about my live streams. They just happen. It's fantastic. Hooker, I barely even knew her. You know, the thing is, I love that particular style of joke, so I'm all in. Also a stupid joke, which is why I love it. Dawn, maybe they think redemption of OnlyFans girl proves the saving power of Christ. They do, right? That's see, but not everybody's the same motivation. This is always what we're missing, right? There's a large group of people. They all have slightly different motivations, but the same end result, which is the saving, right? And if we can save her, we can save anybody, right? They're trying to save her. They're not letting Christ save her. That happens through confession, redemption, and repentance. Or sorry, confession, repentance, and penance, right? And then maybe we have no idea. Like we're not redeemers. We're not involved in that process. We don't have an involvement in that process. Like that's a grace from above. This isn't hard. This isn't hard. Hanselman, I would share my cheese and biscuits, but I've eaten them all. Why? Why would you do that? Why are you even here? I don't know. Mitchell, you remember then land to forget? I don't know. I don't know what that means. Oh, plan. Plan to forget. No, you don't plan to forget. Your memory is a compression device. Like that's what it's for. It's weird. This came up earlier in the Discord server. If you think about it for like maybe a billionth of a second, you'll kind of realize if you remembered everything And there are people who have this because it's a problem. You will end up stuck recalling the past and not being able to live in the present. And at a certain point, that becomes overwhelming and destroys your life. Just skip use my username. It's too obfuscated. Then change it, dude. Like, change your stupid username. Don, to modify my earlier comment, I'm saying we just go back to saying ostracism instead of stopping dead in the middle of a sentence to try and say the longer word. Maybe. The 56 feet of knowing, piranha knowing. You got to get that video out. I'm looking forward to that one. The smoking fetish is real. Well, there it is. Now it's all out there on my YouTube channel. Yeah. It's when you told me that, it blew my mind. And I'd already been on the internet. Like I knew about Goatsy and all that nonsense. Oh, good times. Do miss working with you, by the way. But those are good times. The problem with those times is that they were crazy. Little inside joke. Oh, Christ did wash the feet of the prostitutes to show humility in the Bible too. Yeah, the repentant ones. Yeah. Look, if you want to talk more about margins, there's a lot more to say. I didn't take my usual type of notes for this stream, just because it's been a busy week. But feel free to join. We can talk about this. We can talk about other things. We try to keep it not too terribly personal, especially people get crazy. But look, feel free to join and hop in and we can chat. Anselm, no, he didn't. Oh, he didn't. I don't know. Anselm would know. I'm going to believe the Scottish guy. He seems smart. He eats haggis, so. I've been to Scotland. Pretty reliable people. They live in the land, although they rebel against everything all the time, including themselves, which is a little weird, but they're a little weird. To be fair, I didn't find any Scottish people till I went to Inverness, because Edinburgh is full of foreigners. I'm like, this is nuts. Nobody here is from this place. They're all zombies. So many zombies in Edinburgh. I was like, what is going on? It's so... Yeah, so weird. Ixnon, Christ washed his disciples' feet. Once or twice a prostitute washed Christ's feet. We're not going to have a theological argument over reading the Bible, are we? Was like us, Anselman. I just told you, you're all rebels. Stop rebelling. You're not rebels. I wonder if there's something about reveal, revivify, and revel. Huh. There's some etymological experimentation that could be fun for somebody. Oh, here's Andre. Hey, Andre, how you doing, man?
Good. Yeah, Anselman probably is right. Like, that's like a thing I heard from someone else, but I haven't read the scripture. But there are examples of like Christ washing other people's feet to demonstrate humility. But yeah, that's probably like miscommunication on my part. Christ washed disciples' feet once or twice. Yeah, it's a...
What does the internet say? The internet's never wrong, so... No, the internet doesn't say. Ixnon, we need Castle for the etymology. Well, maybe Castle will show up. Let's see. Castle's been busy and changing his schedule and being a trader. So, yeah, that's how that works. One day you've got a good, reliable first mate, and the next day he stabs you in the back and mutinies. Life of pirate, man. That's how it works. Privateering isn't easy, you know? It's just not easy. Let's see if we can goad him into coming online, trying to redeem himself. Because that's the mode. That's the marginal mode, right? Redemption for
Magic.
everyone.
Golf carts for everyone.
Golf carts for everyone. No, you can't have my golf cart. I take the golf cart out. I'll probably do that tomorrow. Although it's been raining and we've had terrible weather. It's been cold.
We've had weird weather. It's rained one day, now it's warm today, and I mean I think it's like 28. It's Celsius for
what is that in real
uninformed.
temperature?
Oh, okay. In real temperature, it's 82.4.
There we go. Oh, that's gorgeous. I like that weather. Handsome, and didn't mean to offend Andre, just being strictly pedantic. Yeah.
No. I'll admit to being wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah. This is why Protestants have mental problems.
I mean, I'd rather be corrected if I
so stuck
and
on
learn
the
something.
book. So stuck on the book. Yeah, I mean, it's hard, right? Because like, let's suppose you believe. Let's suppose you have somebody who did something bad. Let's say that they're a murderer or they're a thief and a murderer or something, right? And then they confess, right? And they repent and they do their penance. Are they still a thief and a murderer? Like I don't know. Like I don't know the answer to that, right? But I suspect the answer is no. And this is why people change names in the Bible, right? Because they
historically, yes, but like going by like how Christianity would work, like if you repent your sins and Jesus forgives them, then your soul is saved.
Right, but you can get a new name, is my point too.
So
that's an indication that you're not all like that. Anselm, no, all clean. Yeah, well, but that has to happen. See, one of the problems we're living with is this compression, right? And so people are like, oh, this person is now attending a church, has been attending a church for like a month or 3 months or whatever stupid tiny time period it is, and therefore they're like, we're just going to forgive all their sins ourselves, which is within our power, I would argue, and they're fine. And how dare you? But then those same people, how dare somebody else attack that person? It's like this isn't up to you.
Would that be a question of
personal, private judgment,
social identity versus spiritual identity? Spiritual identity versus social identity. Spiritual identity, like you're all clean, but social identity that's carried around with you, that like that's in your past.
And yeah, maybe, but you don't have to. Again, you can get a new name. I mean, this is they are tied together. They're inseparable. My argument would be they're inseparable. What's this? Thrice dead Sally. Oh no, thrice dead. Impressive.
How you doing?
Doing better now, Sally.
Yeah.
How are you doing?
Actually be on the video one time again.
Yeah, what happened? Like, is everything okay? Like, now did something bad happen? Why are you freed up?
I was thinking that in the land of the blind, the one-eyed man is king.
That is true.
And so I felt like this would be a good homage.
I love it. It's genius as usual.
Also, people like to argue they shouldn't die, and I'm like, feel like I've died about 3 times. So
I like it. No, I'm all in. I'm all in. I want to read this. Don, King David is considered to have sinned because considered to have never sinned because he repented and was forgiven. That's the official position. Oh, there you go. Anselm, do what you can to make amends. Yeah, but if you don't do anything, like this, people keep skipping steps, right? We're living in the world of skipping steps. Everybody thinks like John Vervaeke is one thing away from, going to church or Jordan Peterson or whoever. And I'm like, you have no idea how many steps there are that you're missing. None. You're not seeing it. Like, it's like unbelievable. Don't skip steps. Right? I went to church yesterday and didn't deactivate my OnlyFans account until I had a big interview with a well-known person. That's a good indication that you're running the same game in a different arena. That's what's happening there. Yeah. And then, but like I said, the problem is attacking people because they're pointing that out. Just, here's some facts. You're a bad person for pointing out the truth. Really? You're not a Christian. Oh, but you are then? Because now you're going against the truth and there's no evidence. And like, it's crazy out there. And people are doing that. I mean, they've been doing it for a while, but they're doing it all over the place. It's just a well-known example because it's been all over everything. But like, that's been going on for a long time. Like I said, I mean, I tell people all the time, yeah, you know, the state stole my property. And they're like, well, did you not pay the mortgage? And I'm like, why are you blaming me?
Yeah.
No, by the way, I did pay the mortgage. Okay, jerk off. Like, go to hell. Like, seriously, like you're a bad person if you do that. I'm sorry. It's like the immediate skepticism when somebody tells you they've been victimized. And then, oh, you're gay? Oh, no. Go to hell. Like right now.
Did something happen to you? Like, were you abused? Like,
I hate this behavior.
Yeah.
It's just so toxic. And those same people are like, we have to fix the world. No, you have to fix you. And the rest of it will take care of itself. Like, I don't understand. Like, why is it always redeem the hurt person? With it's always your definition of hurt, right? It's never actual definition of hurt based on evidence. It's always like, oh no, the poor hooker who changed her game and is running the same scam in the church is definitely the victim. Oh yeah, she sounds really victimized by the upstanding Christian who's been going to church forever. Yeah, that's definitely how that went. What are you doing? Why are you doing these things? What's going on? You know?
They don't want to think evil exists. They don't want to think, oh, maybe he hurt you because he wanted to hurt someone.
Right.
His reason. Right.
It's corporate greed, but it's never greed of a person. Like, are you sure it's not a person? The corporations aren't, you know, like they're entities, but like they're run by persons. If they're run by greedy persons, they look greedy. But if they're not run by greedy persons, they don't look greedy. So it's fairly sure it's not a function of corporation.
Talk about
it's hard for people.
Talk about wanting to fool yourself. They don't want to think a person could do it because they were evil and because they liked suffering. You know? And that's out there.
Or they see a flat world and they see the suffering. If somebody's suffering, I must be gaining. Because they're binary thinkers. And so if they're not gaining, that's because somebody else isn't suffering. And so they cause that suffering to create their gain. No, really, people think like this all the time. Anselman, some evangelicals treat the worst living converts as celebrities, right? They do it all the time. But part of that, though, is wrapped up in this raising up the lowest, create equality.
And when you don't have a hierarchy, you have to make a new one. So you have converts or missionaries. So there's that.
But then you tell yourself there's no hierarchy, and you prove it by raising up the lowest.
Or something.
And by not supporting those above you at the same time, because that brings them down. All you have to do to bring down the highest is not support it. You take your time, energy, attention away, and the highest is either limited in how far it can rise or will slowly start to fall because entropy is real. And that's why you have to boost the signal of good people. And that's why I have this thing I do on Twitter and on Facebook and other places, but mostly on Twitter. When I see a good post, I say can confirm. Now that also is wrapped up in my knowledge of computer algorithms and how everything works. But like it's like I'm doing it deliberately the same thing with my expertise, knowing full well, right, that signal gets boosted all over the place by the algorithm, right, and up to the people. And actually, people have like commented that they really appreciate that. By the way, me just saying can confirm. It's a simple enough thing, right? But it boosts signals all over the place, and it boosts the signals of people that are doing good things, right? And like Ethan had the most genius tweet. Like Ethan just keeps getting better over time. He tweets less now, but it's always better. It's amazing, right? He had the best tweet today, and I was like, that's brilliant. Why? Because I want to boost that signal. I don't want to hold him back by withholding my time, energy, and attention. And I don't want to hold him back by not boosting his goodness. And it's your boosting of the goodness, not just your doing of the goodness, that helps make a better world. And people don't understand this, so they're not doing it. They're just like, oh, well, this person does that, and that's okay. But let me tell you about this other person. And like we're boosting up drug addicts and prostitutes and all kinds of bad people. People leave their families, right, in favor of boosting good signals from good people who like have nothing but tragedy in their past, or people who have never done anything wrong, or people who are just trying to make the world a better place. Like, it's silly.
Too, like the Sam Gamgees of the world that are just doing a good job. I try to pay attention. Like, I'm across customer service that has a clean bathroom. Like, I tell grocery stores all the time, once again, this store was not sticky and I appreciate it. But like,
right,
that sells sticky items, it can be sticky. I've been to plenty of grocery stores that are sticky and I don't go back. So when I find ones that are really not sticky, it's important. And those little things like that save the world.
Yeah, they're not little.
They save the world. They do. And you can participate in that by doing them and by appreciating just that effect.
Yeah.
Anselman,
I always found it odd how much believers were fascinated by the bad life story of celeb convert preachers. Yeah, I mean, it's bizarre. Ixnon, Protestant flattening destroys the world again. That is true. We have to kind of recognize this and sort of call it out.
And that's an absence of saints. And
right.
Ache for saints.
Saints are exemplifications of ideals or groups of ideals.
Right. Sorrow, like it's a sorrow. Like we ache for saints.
Right.
Had to have one.
Dawn, I remember this phenomena on Oprah in the old days when the recovered reprobate would be celebrated while pushing his memoir. Right. Yeah, she did a lot of that. Center of attention, which they can't get enough of. Right. And the thing is, everyone's getting fed attention, including Oprah, right? Because she's the hero for boosting up the person below her, sort of a thing. And that's how she became the wealthiest person in entertainment. Well, that and knocking Bill Cosby off with the Me Too movement. But that's a conspiracy theory for another stream.
And how many people can name a rapper and how many people can soprano?
Right. Anselman, I'm sorry I didn't do lots of really bad stuff before my full conversion, so I only have a boring story to tell. See, and that's why you're ignored, Anselman. That's why in certain circles, people don't pay attention to you, even though they can't poke holes in what you're saying, and they're not taking you seriously. I know what that's like, by the way, in that circle, right? Like they look, and then full circle. I saw an interesting PVK video. I actually have it clipped on the Market Wisdom Discord server in important videos, right? Where basically somebody else is saying exactly the same thing I'm saying. Well, you wouldn't like an answer. It's about individuals. But yeah, I mean, it all comes full circle. They're all going to come around, whether they realize it or not. Dawn, it created a toxic atmosphere where the person who screwed up their life was cooler and more interesting than the normal person who never did that. Right. Dangerous influence on kids. Exactly. Well, to Sally's point, you will have your saints. You think you don't have them, and that's not a configuration that the world has. And so what happens is the reprobates, the reformed reprobates, become your saints.
Well, and we think about that in film. We don't have the quality good sheriff who got voted in by the people. We got John. But I much prefer McClintock, the rich landowner, to John Wick. But
you're cutting out a bit, Sally. Why are you far from your mic?
Well, I am trying.
There we go.
But hopefully that's not affecting it because I have.
Yeah, it's
probably
still,
the sensitivity.
It might. I don't know if it's sensitivity or whatever. It's not.
It could be like it's a noise gating.
Anselman is agreeing with Dawn. Very true, right? Anselman, we undervalue those who have been fairly true or to their infant baptism and grew you good. Yeah, well, and grew up. Yeah, grew up good. Right. Or people who are doing good in the world right now. Like, what about all the people who are doing good things in the world literally right this second, right, who are not getting the attention they deserve for being good people.
How's that?
No, it's still doing it. It might be your wireless.
Booker.
It's not horrible.
There's audio settings, like you need to check that automatic gain control is off and put mic volume way up.
My computer, I'm on, so I've got like one echo cancellation option.
Yeah, it's on the phone. It's all right. I'm
not sure then.
I'm sure it's fine. It'll work itself out. Yeah, it's just clipping every once in a while. It's not a super bad thing. But what do you think, Sally, about the true, the good, and the beautiful?
Wow, funny you should say that, Mark. I'm down with the true and the good, although those take discernment, and you don't get that by yourself. So there's the first problem. The true and the good, you can't know by yourself. You have to look at the results of them over time to know the true and the good. Now, the beautiful, people seem to have this idea that if it's beautiful, it is necessarily good, or God forbid, beautiful, it is attractive, and being said attractive is not your fault. And I find that to be super danger time. There's lots of beautiful things that you should not just give in to that attraction. And there's lots of beautiful things that are dangerous as hell. And you have to be aware of that.
Yeah.
Because I think what makes things beautiful is symmetry and capability. And man, those are dangerous. Symmetry and capability cover a lot of things. Not safe.
Well, that seems to be the theme. I mean, especially in this PVK Vervaeke Peugeot talk, and like I'm only 49 minutes in, right? So I got another hour to go, but like you can just see the flattening. It's like, well, sacredness is a step up, but it's not. You're still not high enough, right? The Dawkins Peterson conversation, like they're making steps up, but they're not enough steps.
An immediate about charisma, where anything that people are skeptical of, or like where charisma is obvious, there's an immediate skepticism. I don't understand why when something is extraordinarily beautiful, there's not some of that same caution. Now, I don't think they should do what they did with the charisma, where just write it off entirely. That's insane. You can't. And I think beauty should be demonized. And it's goofy the places where beauty is exemplified and where beauty is like demonized, because there are parts of beauty now. Like there is an overt, unapologetic beauty that is demonized, especially in buildings. And I would say to some extent women, but like it's sneaky because it's not women with toxic colors on their face. It's the other kind, which is way more powerful and dangerous and capable and useful.
Yep. So see you, Don. Hope you come back.
Yeah.
Sorry, Sally.
No, it's okay.
Yeah, let's see. Anselman. Yes, cemeteries can be beautiful. Asymmetrical ones. That's a good one. Excellent. If symmetry is beautiful, then no wonder people get enchanted by binary thinking.
Oh yeah.
That is brilliant, sir. I didn't even think of that. Right. It's exactly it. And they love symmetry so much that they put it in places it doesn't belong. And then they confuse words and terms and phrases all over the place. That's a really good observation. I'm going to steal that and not credit you, by the way. Don't tell anyone.
Binary thinking and closed system models are like train systems, all running where you can see the beginning and the end and safe because of their minuteness. Not reflective of.
Anselman's bed short. Dude, don't go to bed. Come. Why don't you come on the damn stream, dude? Come on. One of these days, we got to get you on here. And yeah, I mean, we need a counter force to the force over there that doesn't like the truth or the beauty or the goodness altogether, especially not altogether. Man, listening to Peugeot basically counter PVK and Vervaeke is fascinating. It is so good. I think I am going to do a commentary on it because it's like, man, there's a bunch of stuff there that I'm just like, oh yeah, I love how this stuff is just showing up. I've been talking about this for 4.5 years. Like, you guys
Right.
could have saved yourself some time.
Right after you redo the What is Enchantment with the Grand Netflix special.
Redo the enchantment with what?
The Graham Hancock Netflix special.
No, I'm not doing that. I'm working on a disguise, a gimmick. Just get a silly hat. It'll be fine. You've seen Castle. He
Tinfoil
gets a silly hat.
hats right now.
Yeah, you need a silly hat, Sally. What the hell? I know you have silly hats too. So
We have a plethora of them, but I was going for different. I mean, I am the blind one in this whole situation. That's what I'm good.
I know, I appreciate it. I'm just saying, I know you have silly hats. That's all I'm saying. That's all. I gotta get out there again. We gotta do the big travel in the spring here.
Getting so much closer to having a real studio and the apartment on my place. But
I can't wait. I can't wait to see all the progress in person. That's gonna be great.
I mean, I have the wood stove stoked up right now. Although I should have started it earlier. It's still about 50 degrees in here.
Ooh, that's not bad. 50? It's not terrible.
Not in South Dakota.
Hanselman, like justice on a monument. Yeah. Yeah. Well, it's, the things that are being destroyed are very interesting. If you pay attention to the patterns, I like the Peugeot just outlined in this talk. He just outlined the religious pattern of the whole Black Lives Matter George Floyd thing, like the whole pattern, very quickly. But I was like, oh wow, I didn't. I don't know all that stuff, right? I don't know all the Christian language for all the pattern. So he just said, yeah, we had this and this and this and this, and I'm like, oh, okay, yes, we had all that. And he said, but it doesn't hold. And I'm like, yes, let's see, because once we talk about stories and holding, now we're in intimacy crisis land again. You'll see. It'll all come together. If you don't get it yet, you will, and I'll get better at explaining it. I have I think I have a special live stream coming up first week of December, either Wednesday or Thursday. I don't know which day, and I don't know what time yet. But you will all want to see that. It's going to be epic. It's going to be great. I got a wonderful guest. It is going to be fantastic. But I'm not going to reveal anything because I don't want anybody to ruin anything, because I know there are people out there waiting to ruin things. So I don't want them sending emails to people and say, don't talk to him.
Feed the sharks. When's it going to be exciting?
What?
We need to get the sharks. Feed the sharks. Kill the sharks. Feed more sharks. That's what you do.
No, we don't have any shark killers. We have people breeding them, and then saying that they breed them in the estuary. That's where the sharks go to breed. And everybody misses that. Right. No, I'm actually really, like, look it up. Like, yes. Oh, we didn't think about that. We didn't mention that. How come we never mention the downsides to these things? Oh, because we're outliers and we're trying to make the margin in the center. Is that what's, yes. And then we're flooding everybody. More YouTube channels, more mimetic geniuses. Great. Yeah, thanks. More flood. That's wonderful. Maybe no. Huh? Maybe no on that. And then complaining about it. Andre, is that you with the feedback? Jeez, dude.
Right.
Point where curation, you need to curate your food, curate what you watch, curate your house, curate you have to curate.
Oh man, that whole theme though, like I just heard this whole thing about somebody was I forget which conversation it was. It might be the PVK Vervaeke Peugeot one, but like they were, the culture and the culture this, and then you're influenced by the culture, and the pushback was, yeah, but you don't have to play that game. Like you don't have to do that. Like you don't, like you can just not engage. Like and that's the thing. Like there's so many things to engage with. Like out here, the number of people that like own chickens and don't know about woke school systems is much higher than you would think possible. but actually, there's a bunch of people that know nothing about any of the political stuff at all, except they voted for Trump because they're not stupid. But other than that, they don't know, right?
Yeah.
They don't know about Drag Queen Story Hour. They have no idea how corrupt Fauci is. They just know they don't like him.
And good a proportion of the country does not, because there's a proportion of the country that if they really knew would see fit to really do something about that, because right now they're doing something else.
Right.
And by God, you
Right.
want that something else, because they are actually doing, moving, making, breaking.
You want them distracted from your bad behavior, or they'll put an end to it a way you wouldn't like at all.
Want the people who can implement to be implementing something well in a place where it's not really at odds with others, because it's just better.
Right.
That's it's the theory behind a whole lot of people that the only place for them really is the military service, because there is a proportion of people that are going to fight with somebody. So what you gonna do?
Yeah. Right. Well, I had some, oh shoot, I don't remember the formula anymore, but I had some insight earlier today. It was probably 2 hours ago, maybe 2.5, about war is just really the end of a sacrifice not taken. Right? When you fail to take the sacrifice the sacrifice happens, but now it's war because you haven't sacrificed enough
Right.
before that.
The tree of liberty will be watered by the blood of patriots and tyrants. Like, will be. Like,
Right.
Can be. It
Right.
can be a self-sacrifice. It can be that
Right.
in life. It can
Right.
be.
Yeah, that's what everyone's missing. It's the self-sacrifice that prevents the war. And so if that's not happening because everyone's greedy and everybody wants their thing or whatever, there's lots of other reasons, right? Then you have a problem. Or everyone's paying attention to the margins, and then like exposing that the world has been being run by incompetent morons poorly for decades longer than you suspected is really not a plus to anything.
And doing anything worthwhile is hard. That's like,
Right.
I don't know about other. I think this is a common colloquial, but it certainly is a common colloquial on farms and ranches. Is things are built out of blood, sweat, and tears.
Right.
Every
Yeah.
built like it is appropriate that your work is hard, that making your home is hard, that building on your place is hard, and it's a lot. So I'm going back to one of my videos. I talked about it's not about drawing the line. It's about the 100,000 lines before you draw the line that make you able to draw the line. And that's your everyday choices. And that's what Peterson talks about is when you practice lying, then you're a practice liar. And it's like
Right.
all going with it because you become what you practice. And all the little things that you're doing aren't about getting those things done. They're about making you.
Right. Well, forming you. Right.
Right.
It's formation. And this is what everyone's missing, that they're hearing an argument about education, but the people are describing formation. And fair enough, right? But also like that, formation's not optional, which means someone's got to do it. And if it's not you, it'll be the schools. And if the schools are starting to form people, they're going to do it. That bad people are going to figure out how to game that system, and that's exactly what we're going through.
And what you expose yourself to, what you expose your children to, and being intentional about it. And it's not that you have to expose your children to all good things, because that's actually not possible and wouldn't help if it was. But you do just
contrast to see. They wouldn't know they were good. They would think they were the world. And the world is not only good.
Nope.
Right. It's a real problem. People don't realize the importance of contrast. It's like you can't just expose people to positive things. A, we know that doesn't work. B, F. Skinner proved this by trying to prove the opposite and failing many times over many, many years. And you need contrast to see. No contrast, no sight. It's not a good situation.
Extremely fun thing about and you can get too much of them, the online conversations, but the difference between people and their perception is more interesting than the facts to me often.
Right.
because the facts aren't.
Me too.
More information will not help. Lists and lists of facts don't necessarily help you navigate. Paying attention to the difference between people, oh man, that is because then you can start seeing yourself because you get like a trifecta. You get 2 people or 3 people, you can really see the difference. Then you can tell where you are, and it's like, oh, I agreed with him.
Right. Orientation. 3 points. You and 2 other people. Good for orientation. That's why I think there's a natural logical progression from TED Talks to conversations, right, with smart people, right, long form, to conversations with multiple people, right? Like that's a natural progression.
One person at a podium is only professing or preaching, and 2 people discussing an issue is more educational.
Well, it can be, or it can be this dialogical rabbit hole where they're just yapping at each other and making up new words. And like word salad is a thing. I mean, it didn't used to be, granted, like 10 years ago, word salad didn't exist, but it does now.
Man,
And that's a big problem.
read a book from like 1907 or 1910 and just, well, and because not everybody was writing, you know? So and then also not all of them lasted. So you have
Right.
2 generations. Less people were writing and less of them lasted. And I'll read them and I'll just it's very enchanting because there's this sharpness to the diction, and I understand some of it and I don't understand some of it, and I'm not even quite sure what to do with it sometimes, but it feels enriching, but how useful is it? I don't know.
It's very useful. Sally, what's that behind you, Sally?
Oh, wow. This is our wonderful tapestry.
Can
This
you
is
raise your camera up? There we go. Perfect.
results of cards and so that's 5.
There we go. Yeah,
We
that's
have
gorgeous.
4 cardinal virtues and the 3 holy virtues as a set of 7. And we have the virtue up above and the vice down below. And so, of course, Fides is English, would be faithfulness. And we have a bunch of symbolism in it, as well as unfaithfulness below. I chose to represent them with operators because I was looking for something that the modern mind could have a connection to. So we have a faithful operator and an unfaithful operator.
And boy, it looks like that's available up on the store right now, eh?
Oh, yep. Yep.
I guess then that I will have to paste that link. Oops.
Product placement. Yeah.
Yeah, no, looks good. Looks great. Yeah. And so with these tapestries, you were saying you can put them in front of a window and give that window like a stained glass effect?
Because everybody said I should get them on stained glass, and I didn't want to do film because that's could easily get messed up. So this is what I came up with. This is on a synthetic satin is what it, or well, I guess satin is synthetic silk. Anyway, but you could hang this in front of a small window and it would be very stained glassy. So it's got both going on. And I find it comes out of the box pretty set up to hang. I shortened the top on this one just for this spot, but it could hang lower, could hang higher.
Nice.
I can find my own whiteboard markers. I was trying to write Mark Lefebvre.
Nice.
Yeah, it was nice to bring the 13 finally to kind of a close. And I'm not doing any projects because I do my project, which I've been neglecting because I'm easily distracted. So, yeah.
Yeah, it looks good. I hadn't actually looked at the store. I have people for that now. Yeah, you gotta fix the banner. That banner's too big. We gotta get a different template up there.
I wish
It's not it?
he's in more things. I might have to go.
Oh, okay. You can go. Good to see you though.
Yeah.
She might have to go. Uh-oh. That means her life came back or something. Terrible thing. Don't let life happen to you. What are you doing over there, Andre? All over the
I'm
place.
just trying. I'm trying to find the whiteboard marker because I think I put it in my drawers. But
Oh, I see.
I've got a
my room is so.
You got time,
Yeah.
Sally?
little bit, and then I'll have to go do offline.
Oh, well, maybe I'll get one of my first mates on here to replace you. We'll see if.
Yeah, where's
if
Jesse?
anybody-
I haven't seen
don't
Jesse
know.
in months.
Oh, Jesse was on last week.
Oh, I
Yeah,
guess
you gotta watch to see him. It's
Yeah,
magical.
you saw my ruse.
Yeah, it's pretty easy.
Pointed out that I hadn't been watching.
Yeah, it's not hard. Everybody saw your ruse who was watching, so it's
It
probably not
is
hard.
it is starting at 8 a.m. on Saturday morning for me though. So like, with my sleep pattern, either like I'm already up or like I just can't get up that early to jump on a stream. So I'll never be able to plan out like watching the full stream. But if I'm around, like I'll jump on it. So it's
Yeah, I got
very all over the place.
Yeah. Well, it's. I'm glad you were able to jump in. Benjamin Franklin. Oh goodness, it's always a ride.
Okay.
Let's see what's the ride. I have a thought. Yeah, this is it's already bad. It's already starting out really bad. I want to test it out. This is even like it's like gotten worse somehow. I didn't think that was possible. You learn something new every day. My POV, not down into the depths, is that there seems to be multiple centers. No, by definition, there's only ever one center. This isn't hard. These are word definitions. If you don't use the definitions, you destroy everything, including your ability to communicate. This is why I don't read your stuff. Like, that's the reason why. Just stop misusing the language, and maybe we can talk about something in common. There's no such thing as multiple centers. It doesn't make any sense. It can't be made any sense of. It will
You're
never.
talking about the second median, not the first median, Mark.
It's always,
Mark.
the new trend is the meta reel. I'm like, are you effing kidding me? So now there's reality, and then there's another reality. How is this helpful? Like, why do you think splitting reality is helpful?
I mean, I dislike that more than you would dislike like Lacan with like the symbolic, the real, and imaginary. Like
so
the meta real, really.
The only question is, Mark, are they primordial centers?
I'm gonna ban you from my channel, from my everything forever.
Is it the
You
cardinal?
and John are both torturing me tonight. I've been ganged up on.
Metaphysical primordial centers.
The metaphysical primordial center. Yes. It's just capital R reality, right? The really real. I'm like, guys, you're destroying the usefulness of language itself. If you could not do that, maybe I could take you seriously. But the more you split the language into 1,000 shattered parts, the harder it is
meta
for me to talk
language.
to you.
Relationship
It'll be fun.
dragons. The relationship between predator and dragons is not there. I reject dragons. There's only predators. Why can't
It was such an easy problem to fix. Like, do you buy predator as an abstract category? Okay, then why can't dragon be a same abstract category, you muppet? And the answer is it can be. Stop acting like you're retarded, or admit you are and shut up.
If that dragon aren't primordial predator, I can't be part of this conversation.
Dawkins just drives me nuts. The guy's so stupid. It's like, why did anybody allow him to write a book? Like, I don't even understand.
Why is that book dictating medicine?
Did you see the little thing that Manuel posted on the server? Oh my goodness, that's horrifying. Like, he did that? Like, this is horrific. And people fell for it.
All the ologies are.
Look, all hope is not lost. Benjamin Franklin, I'm on JBP's side on the subject of the dragon. Okay, well, apparently you have enough cognition to actually know that much. That's a good thing. We'll celebrate that. Are you capital R real or are you lowercase r real?
Capital S
I'm gonna
sanity.
strangle these people.
This is why I identify as an attack helicopter. Because
It's so all of this is so easy, and they just make it so hard. And I'm like, why are you making this hard? Nothing about this is hard. Nothing. And you're just making it hard for no reason. Just no reason to make it hard. I don't understand why you're making it hard.
I identify as an attack Hegel. Mark's worst enemy.
No, not Hegel. Maybe Kant.
Yeah, that's
Kant is pretty.
definitely how I
pretty
would describe him. Kant as a
I want to
being Australian.
cream cheese.
Certainly is
A good theme at some in-person meeting. Hegel's with cream cheese.
Nice. I don't know. I mean, and the worst part is all these guys take 10 seconds to debunk. It's just nobody does it. You know, but the good person who points out the problem with, making the prostitute like accountable, that person gets slaughtered. I'm like, what? You can't slaughter Hegel, Nietzsche, and these other retards? Really? Heidegger? You can't even slaughter Heidegger? Come on. Like, what is wrong with you? Why are you like this? I don't understand.
So debunk Hegel in 10 seconds outside of what you said about him, like not getting past Plato.
Sesame seeds, cream cheese, perhaps.
that doesn't do it, Billy. No, I mean, he says thesis, antithesis, synthesis. That's clearly just wrong. Like, everything about that is wrong. It's binary thinking. It's symmetrical. The world isn't binary or symmetrical ever, right?
Why
He's
is that
talking
binary?
about it as though it emerges without a space for it to emerge into. And that can never be correct ever. And it can't be corrected either. Like, you're not the guy to fix it. Because you can't fix it.
Which way is that binary thinking though?
Because it's synthesis and antithesis.
Yeah,
that's binary
and
by
thesis,
definition.
And then thesis 3.
No. He says you can take the binaries and collide them together, basically, right? And then a new thing emerges.
It's a 3-stage process.
Right, but he doesn't
antithesis.
No, wait a minute. A, no, you can't. So it's already wrong. And B, even if you did, you're not talking about the space or what emerges or how or the formula or anything.
Sure.
You're just making these statements that are already false and then making them into good things. And they're not true and they're not good.
But, I mean,
and they're not beautiful.
But the statement that he made wasn't actually binary. It's just what I'm saying. I'm not arguing.
It is a binary.
But there's 3 parts to it.
It's in the language that we speak. Binary.
Sure.
Anti-something is the statement of the other side of something, which is a binary.
So the first 2 parts are binary, and then there's a third part.
No, so there isn't a third part. No.
There is a
This is the trick he plays on everybody. There isn't a third part. You don't get a third part from a binary. You get a reduction to 0 in every single case. In the physical world, in the thought world, in mathematics, in every single possible scenario, the whole thing is completely wrong. It's not that hard. Everybody rejects it, but actually, I just disproved it. It's not going to get.
It was always meant to be a 3-part process. You realize?
No, it's.
So you're saying once he gets to step 2,
and he doesn't list the rules, and that's because he's wrong, because you can't make a process out of combining 2 binaries.
So are you saying once you get to step 2, then it becomes binary already, and then that sort of cancels out itself?
He states a binary that's already wrong, and he states it explicitly as a binary, and therefore it can never be correct.
It says that explicitly is the 3-part process, though, not 2.
It's not a 3-part process. He states a binary. It's already wrong. You can't do a process with a binary. Binaries only ever reduce to 0 ever in any circumstance. Every ontological science, every mathematical system, and every physical system that's true. All of them. He's not right in any possible domain that we're aware of, including spiritually. It's just wrong. It's not hard. It's
I'm
just
just
nobody
trying to see
likes that.
the
because a bunch
perception of
people
it, though,
read his
like
garbage and bought into it.
the
So you got enchanted by a demon.
so
Wonderful.
you're saying that you have thesis, antithesis, and then once it's gotten to there, it becomes binary, and you can't get past that.
You've stated a binary. You've started axiomatically from a binary.
Right.
You're
Okay.
already
And
wrong. Like
so
every
it's
statement you make after that point
is that
is
okay?
automatically incorrect.
So it's in a binary system, so it doesn't matter like if you trail it with a third or fourth point or anything, it's already binary.
You can't. You've defined a binary system.
Okay, right.
It always reduces to zero.
Okay, I get where you're coming from now.
Right. It cannot do anything but reduce to zero ever.
So
ever.
it can't be a trinary system at all because
no, all changes in a binary system collapse to zero. They cannot.
Yes.
You can't build from especially not a symmetrical binary, but any binary. You can't build from it. It's not possible. It's
definitionally I see where you're coming from now.
Nonsensical.
So he thinks he's making a trinary system with 3 steps, but you're saying the first 2 steps by necessity make it a binary system, and therefore like anything coming afterwards is going to collapse.
And he's doing that because he's a flat world thinker who's not very bright, which is why he wasn't a good theologian, and he's still not a philosopher. And that's the problem. And like there were contemporary critiques of him on these issues. It isn't like I made this up. Like you just got to read the material. It's as if everybody reads the positive material because they want to redeem for no reason.
I'm just trying to see like your perspective and your framework of like how you view his like how you've discounted his work because I've never understood it.
Right.
But now phrasing in that way, I get what you're saying.
The only reason why people don't understand simple things is because they're making assumptions, usually 2, one of goodness and one of complexity, right? And so they've already started from that position, which is the end position. You never start from the end when you're defending something that's unfolding, right? Like you always look towards it because it's an ideal, but you never start from the end. And then they're working backwards and they're trying to redeem. And it's like, I know, why don't you just take the L? And people don't like to take the L and go, oh yeah, Hegel's just an idiot and nobody ever should have read him, which is true. It's provably true. Well, and people who lived during the time said this. Like, it's not hard.
I've always approached from like, why does Marx dislike Hegel so much? So it was a probing, like questioning thing, like, and without having any like leading information.
Continual rejection of the simple answer. That's always the problem.
Right. Okay.
It's like if I weren't answering the question, that would be different, right? But I don't do that. I always bring the goods. And people miss this. A good friend of mine did this to me on Facebook a few years ago, right? I made a statement and he said, well, Mark, because he's known me for years and decades, right? Decades. He said, I know you always research, but I'm going to disagree with you on this, and I'm going to go out and find the research and prove you wrong. And I was like, that's great. That's fantastic. I look forward to it. And he came back 4.5 hours later and said, I know you're wrong, but I can't find any data. I give up. And I'm like,
okay. So vying for complexity over simplicity, that would match you being a pragmatist, right? So if something is not pragmatic and it's overly complex and not pointing towards the good.
No, a pragmatist knows nothing is complex, effectively.
Right.
Right.
So
right.
Okay.
Because it can't have been. Like it's this weird state we're in where we don't realize. Like, people go like, oh, invention only happens through science. Science is so recent and invention is older. So that can't be true ever. Like just logically, like I don't, and then people get confused. Just that statement drives people crazy. And I'm like, I don't know why you're confused about this. This is really easy. And because they don't like that answer, they reject it immediately. And I'm like, it can't be, what was the statement that was made? It was something like, yeah. Hold on a sec. I gotta grab the notes real quick. This is totally worth it, though. I assure you. backwards. I can't believe.
More interesting than why Mark hates Hegel is why does Mark hate rugs?
Rugs.
That is true. That is true. Oh, yeah, the sacred is most real. Good Lord.
All I can think, there could be so many Hegel bagels.
Hegel bagels. I think you could sell that to academics because they've already bought into Hegel. I'm sure they buy the Hegel bagel. Like, why not?
The laser. We need to talk to our cosmic salesman on the Discord and see if he's ready to sell Hegel bagels.
I think that would work.
Hegel bagels, man. Just I can't move past.
The can't croissant.
I can't even think of a better food.
Oh,
Can't confirm. I can't confirm the Hegel bagel.
Can't confirm the Kant croissant. That just
The Hegel bagel and the Kant croissant. I don't know. I think that's good. No, what was said was, I think it was Vervaeke that said it too. He was saying like, oh, you need the theory in order to get to the virtue, and I'm like, that can't possibly be true. Yeah. It's not even possible that requirement could exist, right? It cannot logically be a reality, and yet he makes statements like this all the time, and I'm like, that's just irrational, dude. It's flat out irrational, illogical, and unreasonable, and cannot ever be true.
No. 3 and 4-year-olds, while they're learning to share, you have to sit down with them and pragmatically explain the virtue of charity and sharing love.
They need the theory.
The theory.
Definitely. If they don't have the theory, they won't.
Come on, kids. Teach them why sharing is good. Here's your copy of Das Kapital.
They don't have
You can finish it by this evening.
The propositional instruction of children on why sharing is good is the only way.
It's so dumb. I'm like, and it really is. I like this definition that I've come up with for ideology, right? Any system that doesn't account for children cannot be a philosophy and can only be an ideology. And we still save Plato. So I'm good because the Republic talks about children. And in fact, that's part of the driving force of the Republic is the concern about children. It's so funny. And everybody misses that that's in there. And I'm like, you people need to learn to read. Like, we've given everybody the ability to be literate, but their comprehension is terrible. And they give them these books, and I don't know what book they read, but like, it's not the book that they claim they read.
Literacy doesn't make equality because only death makes equality. So,
right.
Like, let's just not pretend anymore. It's like, yeah, we just can't pretend that literacy makes equality. That's silly.
No, it won't. It won't create equality, and it won't lift people up. And I don't know why people don't see that. And man, if I hear another person talk about we need more conversation or cross conversation or whatever, I don't know what I'm going to do. I just can't deal with it anymore. I'm like, we've had nothing but more conversation for 30 years, and everything has correlated with getting worse. Maybe you could look around and figure out that cannot possibly be the answer.
Implementation, like just unapologetic, like seed the earth, have kids, build your house,
do stuff.
Like, honest to God, you'll have a better effect on your immediate people around you if you just freaking clean up your diet and get as healthy as you possibly can. Like,
young God, plebs should be illiterate and should bear the shameful signature of X. No, there's nothing shameful about being illiterate. The smartest people I know are not well spoken. It's just factually true, right? Not universally, but
the degradation of mechanics and industry and farming. What the hell? You're better than the person who feeds you. You're better than the person with your lights on. Like, that just disgusts me. It fills me with wrath. Like, just that condescending thing to
And worse yet, they're like, oh, that's such a low job. It's like, it's a job you couldn't do.
like I relish industry. And people have this association with industry and smog and industry and litter, but that's not what I have an association with industry. Like it's the virile nature of humanity as such, like, and everything that it can, like, it makes the weak capable.
Right.
Electricity,
It gives
mechanics.
you leverage. It gives everybody leverage. Right.
It's similar to like the Samuel Colt made women equal with this
That's
with
right.
shooter pistol, man. Like it's that industry that gave us this leg up, and it's so magnificent. And the fact that people don't see the magnificence in industry, man, breaks my heart. It would be like not revering the Mona Lisa just for the measure of it. But maybe that's why they hate it. Maybe it
Well,
just,
and that's well, they hate the equality because true equality comes from industry. Right, not from conversation, not from books, not from learning or education or any of that. Right, all those things do is reveal where we're not equal. Right, we're not, because we're not mentally equal, and it just so happens that all the people that at least ostensibly appear to be wicked smart, as we used to say in New England, are the ones that seem to want that system in place. I don't think it's a coincidence. I think they want to be at the top of the pyramid and they'll do anything to get it. And that's why they're pissed off at Trump, because they see him as stupid but wealthy, and stupid people shouldn't be wealthy. And it's like, I hate to break it to you, he's not stupid, and smart people shouldn't be wealthy because they'll just abuse everybody.
well, that's the skepticism in the internet, and maybe we should censor now because we can't have wrestlers being a public influence. I'm like, what? Do you know what the historical norm is? Because the historical norm is, if you aren't doing wrestling, it's not education.
Right. That's right. That's right. You're not in the academy if you're not actually wrestling.
So,
and there's a reason for that. And we have this flat world view of history where never even in U.S. history was it the president and the Congress people or the scientists that were exemplified and that people were looking towards. Never. That's never happened. It's still not happening. It's just this misunderstanding and this flat worlding where people are casting that way. And I'm like, I don't know why we're there. I don't know why we're doing that. It always came bottom up. It always came from the wrestlers, from the plumbers, right. And it's like Peterson says, right? Plumbers save more lives than doctors.
mm-hmm.
Jan God, Einstein is a hoax for nerds. Well, Einstein's interesting. Einstein destroyed science and the scientific method, and nobody talks about that. And I think they should. But what do I know? Just the obviousness.
I found the working marker.
Excellent. What are you going to school us on with your?
Now I too can have a triangle.
Excellent.
You're going to give me an excellent. We like triangles. Triangles are our favorite thing. I have a whole series of slides on the early navigating patterns, the very earliest videos, the slide videos. They're all about triangles and how to see the world using triangles and lower things too, right? And then you can understand where people are stuck, and it should work remarkably well. Although Dawn's not here. Dawn needs to tell me if she understood that yet, because it's giving her some time to absorb it all, because she did watch them, and I'm like, damn it, I need to know how good they are. Did you get it or not? Because I'll redo them if I have to. Damn it! It's probably the most important.
Oh, no, don't redo them. They're brilliant.
We need
the early stuff is like the Mark classics, and it just was like a fine wine as it goes on.
Well, we need more stupid questions about them so we can do them again.
Yes. True. I'm good at asking stupid questions.
I can't. Beyond us. We need more stupid questions, please.
More questions. Yeah, more engagement. We need more engagement. Yeah, I really want to refine stuff, because the people that use it find it very helpful. I want to make it more useful to more people, and that's hard to do, right? And that requires a lot more cooperation than we're getting.
watch something and it pisses you off real good, tell us so we can figure out why.
Mm,
Agree with you, but we really would like to figure out why. It is genuinely interesting, and this is something I found with coworkers. After my second or third job, when I was really trying harder and paying attention, the first, like, there'd be one or two people that when I first got to the position, the first 2 or 3 months, they'd piss me the frick off. And then after third or fourth or fifth month, they were the useful ones.
right.
And then it was like, oh, so really, and I think it was probably my own ignorance, but I didn't know how to contain it yet. And then once I got aware of that, I made note that the abrasive people weren't wishy-washy, and they probably had something to answer. Like they had more
Right.
they weren't just worried about smoothing over relational comfort. They had stuff, and that just changed my engagement with the world. Like just
Yeah.
that, just learning, notice that.
Yeah, when people are moving things, it's going to rub up against you.
Yeah.
That's not necessarily a bad thing. It's not bad that it rubs up against you. It's not. I need to rewatch those videos. Yeah, you do, man. But you get to tell me, like, I don't need notes from them necessarily, although that always helps. But like, oh yeah, I got this, or oh, what is it? Like, I need to know if those early model videos in particular give you a sense for other people and where their points of view are, right? It's supposed to allow you to look at other people's perspectives and see it like instantly and go, oh, because then you can talk to them better. Like if you know where their limitations are, right? Yeah, maybe you can't change them, and that's fine. It also does give you what I think of as the right progression, so that you could take them and give them one more step. So each of those videos contains multiple steps about, this is a stuck perspective. If you upgrade it by one step, it becomes this perspective, right? And then, and then hopefully you can see yourself in there too. Like, oh, right, like that would be even better. But if you can't, fair enough. I mean, you still use it to make other people better, even if you can't make yourself better. Although I'd argue those two things are inexorably tied together. That's a different live stream.
Sometimes you can see it in other people who are worse off than you first. That's happened for me a couple of times, where I couldn't see it in myself until I saw it really bad in someone else. And I'm very grateful and like wished I could pull them out, but you can't necessarily.
Right.
Sometimes you have to let people drown and do better. And that's too bad. True. And you're not pursuing the good by drowning with them. So.
That's right. Yeah, you shouldn't lower yourself, right? And especially into the water. That's not going to help anybody, but it will make everything worse. And I'm still a better first person, so I'm not a worse first person. Oh, I didn't pin my link. Why didn't I pin my link? I should pin my link in case
my comments came through weirdly. It mustn't have put through the URL. I linked my Twitter, then said follow me. So it's all over the place.
Oh, okay. Cool.
I'll put my username.
Everybody should follow Andre on Twitter. That is true. Twitter is wonderful.
Okay.
Ixnon, the next step in the video is the necessary next step? I think so. I mean, maybe not, but I think so. I think it's correct. It might not be correct, but I think it is. Like, I think it's actually... Like, I think it's actually right. Like, I put a lot of time into that. That was... this is all on the backs of a lot of work that we all did on the Awakening from the Meaning Crisis Discord server. Using Vervaeke's work and building on Peterson and Vervaeke.
The foundations are laid. We rise stuff up.
Yeah, well, and it all got smashed down by the same people who are doing other projects and rival projects almost, except they're not, because we had stuff that worked and they have stuff that will never work, but whatever. I can't control that.
Education and what not to do, and now we do more. Yep, it won't matter.
Yeah, I mean, that's how it is. And that's, it's, you claw your way forward one small step at a time, right? Yep. And Hope the backslides aren't too serious. And hope that the snakes stop biting or people start recognizing all the snakes, because that's always important. And people don't like that. Like, you can't tell people about snakes because they immediately want to redeem them, right? Who are the actual snakes? I want to know their names so that I can tell you why you misunderstood them and they're not really snakes. It's like, yeah, but that won't make them not snakes. That just makes you a jerk. So I don't understand why you want to be a jerk, but and also support snakes, which makes you a bad person. Like, don't do that. All right. Everybody likes to be skeptical and cynical about bad things. And and they misdiagnose the bad things. Like, oh no, the bad things are you attacking the lower. It's like, no, some of the lower things are bad.
They're just eccentric. Like, don't blame them for all their flaws.
This is the land of that won't cut it here.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah, and that's the problem. Everyone's so keen on redemption, and I'm like, that's not your job. Like, stay in your lane.
Accountability is a big thing.
Yeah, but you have to have a sense for the true, the good, and the beautiful. And like, if you don't like hearing something, it might be true, and that might be why you don't like hearing it. Also, too bad.
And something that has something to offer might be abrasive because you're not pushing nothing.
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
And if you're not being abraded, you're probably not moving. Right. I got into this whole Twitter discussion, I think it was today actually, about whether or not thoughts are actions, right? Whether or not emotions are the same thing as knowledge. And I'm like, you're describing emotions. I don't understand why you're describing emotions and hoping that they're knowledge. I just don't get it.
I told you, right, the argument I had with this kid on Healthy Gamer GG, who was trying to claim he was a nihilist, and he used the phrase. So I've got philosophical nihilism, but then I've got emotional nihilism, and I'm a nihilist, but I'm also a bit of a hedonist. I'm like, that those are logically contradictions. Like, hedonism is taking like loving pleasure for just the sake of pleasure itself. Nihilism is not finding meaning for anything.
Right.
If you like pleasure, then you're finding meaning in pleasure. Like, you can't have like both things.
Yawn God. Well, as leaky bags of seawater, where the leaking is the feelings, it's all emotions, simple existence. Yeah, well, look, I mean, again, the big problem is we've done people a major disservice by telling them they're probably 3 orders of magnitude smarter than they are. And now they think they can understand all kinds of concepts that they just don't have the cognitive capacity to understand. And so they believe they know things or are aware of things that they don't know and can't be aware of. And they know them about themselves, which is like, the person who knows the least about you is you. I mean, nobody wants to hear that, but also it's 100% true. You know almost nothing about yourself compared to everybody else, because you don't see yourself clearly because you're stuck in your body and you can't get out.
The older I get, like, the more I know less about myself. And like, friends I've had for like even a couple of years, they'll say something like super insightful about me. I'm like, holy shit, like, how did you know that? Like, I thought that was only knowledge I had. They're like, no, it's obvious. Like, you watch you for like more than a few hours and it just jumps out. And you don't, not realizing you're doing these things all the time.
Yeah, you can't see yourself very clearly. Ixnon, emotions are signals. Yeah, they're also drivers, right? And they're also underneath. They're hidden to you, right? Maybe they can be informed towards knowledge. Exactly. Somebody watches my channel. Yawn God, as a male bag of seawater, the leaking menstruation is beyond my comprehension. I read this in a deep nature documentary voice. I like it. That's good. That's good. Oh my goodness.
Mark, I finally wrote some code for the first time. I wrote in C.
Oh, great. Great. What did
Like,
you write? Anything exciting?
Something that you can have a variable set length of an array that has randomized iterating values, and I wrote functions for linear search and binary search
Oh,
to
cool.
apply on it.
Yeah, it's always
and
fun.
sort through it. So I like all these. I don't know if you know No Starch Press. You may have seen like the
No,
covers
no,
are
no.
sort of the cartoony ones.
Hmm.
But I got data structures the fun way, and also algorithmic thinking recently, and this is all stuff like I've half this stuff I haven't actually heard of. It's like starting to go into computer science and like software engineering, like the actual stuff when you're a programmer need to
Yeah.
approach, as opposed to just like a coder or just someone's scripting. But I've read quite a bit of Python so far, but like now that I'm approaching C, like it's hooking me in and getting very addicted, because it's I think exactly the right level where I need.
Yeah, different people like different layers.
Hmm.
Yeah. Can you go work for Twitter and just recode their freaking news feed as a basic array? Because whatever they're doing is garbage and doesn't work very well.
Oh, the for you and the following. Yeah, the
No.
algorithm.
Those what? So there's a bug, like a major
Uh-huh.
It's an architectural level bug. What happens is every once in a while they have a show more posts.
Yeah.
But when you hit that button, if it's not scrolled to the top of the phone, it actually jumps the list down on your screen.
Really?
Yes.
So on mobile.
And you have to put it within a pixel of the top and then hit the button, which also can be difficult if they put the new posts up, because then you can't hit the button anymore because everyone is stupid and doesn't know how to code basic stuff. But then that's a side effect of using bad data structures.
Is this Android?
Yeah.
Okay. Cause I don't know if I've noticed this on iOS.
It's probably everywhere. It's probably on
But-
the web too. You probably don't notice it. Like I just
Yeah,
I know how all this stuff works. So I notice all these bugs. Like I just
yeah. So when it pops up and it's like got like a little thing saying
Yanga, this exists on
35 new
YouTube.
posts.
Well, yeah, Yanga. The problem is the data structures you're using are not simple lists, right? But the displays they're using require and can only
Mhm.
use simple lists. And so like
Yeah.
clever data structures are for back end, they're not for front end. When you use clever data structures on the front end, you break your software immediately. And it's not fixable. You can't
You
fix
can't
it.
do something like linked lists or
You needed
anything.
to use a linked list, right? And you need to link
Yeah.
another list. And then you just need to scroll the list. And then you don't have these problems. Like it would take actual effort if you're using a very simple data structure to make the thing scrolling correctly. I mean, there's
Well,
other ways to do it,
Could
right?
front end
Great
like
side
stuff use like memory pointers and stuff like that?
There's lots of different ways to do it. Now I'll use frameworks. Actually, Ginger Bill did a whole thing
true.
online about
Okay.
why is Angular and React a thing? And I said it's fashion. It's coding fashion. Frameworks are
Yeah.
fashion. And I'm like, I hate frameworks.
On Node.js and
Right. No, it's all garbage. Like those programming languages shouldn't exist. JS is horrible. Node.js is like horribleness on top of horribleness. I don't know what these people. But this is the funny part, right? All this stuff comes from years of experience in computers and watching the meaning crisis unfold. All these patterns happened in the computer industry and blew it up. It just freaking exploded, and now we have nothing but horrible programmers everywhere.
yeah,
Everyone suffers because the software is horrible. Written by
take faults
idiots.
for the memory crisis.
The over compartmentalization of information has done this in many fields.
Right.
True.
Don't interact with a broader story, a bigger thing, which is what religion should give you. When you don't interact with the bigger thing than yourself, then your ology gets stagnant within itself, and botulism, just freaking intellectual botulism.
Right. Yeah. It's a big problem. So I don't know. Can you put that in a frame, Sally? Like maybe with the war in Afghanistan or something?
I don't want to do that. I don't want to. I would
Okay.
put it when fine art separated from the artisans, and then that kind of unhooked the function of fine art with regular people. And so then there was this extra specialized class of artists, and artisan became a different thing. So the ornament got separated from what art is, and then art became abstract because it wasn't artisan works anymore. It was art. What is art? And really, that's just a mood. That's just a feeling. And then it just becomes like a whole clout contest because you're no longer connected to things that are in people's lives for something other than a status symbol. You're no longer connected to the enrichment. And like the art academy used to have the historical art, portraiture art, still art, like in this hierarchy. But because it became, I think, because it became disconnected from the artisan works in the in the past, it continued to become disconnected from them, and then it I would say the botulism is the disconnection from that art society world and
Yeah.
how it's hitting regular people, and then the people who are the buyers and the people who are the artists become their little contained thing, and there's no oxygen to it, and it's sicker and sicker and sicker over
Would
time.
you say like it maybe came around the point of like Dadaism, or even earlier like Futurism and Cubism? Because I still give merit to Cubism and Futurism, but Dadaism is where I see like a break off
I
that you're sort of talking about,
I
and the
actually
abstract starts.
I think it all comes from coping with the invention of the lens.
Yeah.
And then art becomes, do we represent art, like do we represent form symbolically, or do we represent form like light? Because we quit
Right.
realism
Yeah.
and painting light. And at the beginning of the Renaissance, there was a pretty decent integration of painting light, painting symbolism. I'm thinking very specifically of, I think it's called the Academy, and it's all the philosophers on these stairs. And it's one of the first examples of like this perspectival realism. I don't think it's the first, but it's just used as an example a lot over and over, the Academy. Um, so you can integrate symbolism and painting light. And like, I have a deep appreciation for light based realism. It's just not the only way I want to work. What I dislike is the segregation of symbolism from realism. Because what's insane is Dadaism is like symbolism of realism.
Yeah. Or almost deconstruction of
Well, it is.
that.
And like what Monet did, so much
By
different.
Raphael? Is that the
Maybe names stink because I can look at the pictures in my head, but I can't tell you the names. So
So, yeah,
I know the problem.
Symbolism.
so it could be. It's been 5 years since art school, guys.
Talking about like the early Renaissance, Gothic to early Renaissance period. Or,
I like the Northern Renaissance period too, but yeah, like all of the isms, I would say fall into what I consider the botulism category because they're no longer ornamenting, they're no longer done for specific purposes, and you end up painting yourself. Which at least if you're painting yourself, you're not making sheer propaganda. I know,
right?
Mark, that there's no propaganda, but there is an
Right.
artistness to painting yourself as an artist. I think the thing the artist sacrifices, I think the thing the artist makes as a sacrifice is the privacy of the inner world. And that is not appropriate for everyone. But I think if you are a real artist, you are sacrificing your inner world to some extent. Now, there's limits to that. And that can turn into something sick too, which it kind of goes in and out of that. It's almost unavoidable. But when you can find a function that you can bounce between, refine between the function, it can be a lot better. Does that make sense? I tried to make sense. I thought about it hard, Mark, I swear.
Yeah, that made sense. No, you did good. You did good. I understood what you were saying. Yeah. Well, I think it's that. So if there is if you wanted to blame a loss of art or a loss of a type of art for, we'll say, some of the problems that we have today, it would be that loss of fairy tales. And I think the reason for that is that the fairy tales are stories that integrate the margin.
And
That's what they are.
there is an intentional, nasty scorn of the past and a nasty scorn of doing art like this, where you do something that other people have done 1,000 times. Because it used to be, that's what it was, learning to be an artist and going to art school, is you would go redraw the past works and learn the forms and learn the symbols. And then you didn't just do that, though. You brought them closer to present so people could relate to them again. And that was keeping that connection and that long history and that deep roots, and then doing more with it. And when they intentionally want to chop that off and call that the patriarchy, you just you can't work with that. That's just insanity.
Is it the painting with Plato and Aristotle?
Yeah, that was
one pointing up, one pointing down. Yeah,
I would count that one as a good integration of realism and symbolism.
Right.
Because it's neither realism nor symbolism to some extent.
Dawn, I'm 40 minutes back. Uh-oh. But Benjamin Franklin remind me that Bellingham, Washington is 4 downtown. So if you ask somebody where the city center is, say which one. Yeah. Right. It's not a real place. Can confirm. It's not a real city.
But did that demonstrate the botulism? I think I lost track.
Yon God, wasn't art just Hollywood European aristocrats? No. Pose for me, darling. Nah, this is serious. No, it wasn't. That's her whole point. Like, there's different periods in art, and at some point it became self-referential. And before that, which is parasitic by definition.
Representational, moving towards like a Monet and sort of
it was pointing up way before that.
Yeah,
it stopped pointing up, and they started signing their work.
Yeah, yeah. Well, and
unfortunately, around the time of Marcel Duchamp, with Art and the Urinal and Anti-Art.
If art is money laundering now, then it must mean it was money laundering before. No, that's not how the world works. Things change over time. Also, not all art is money laundering. So I don't know where people get these flat worlds from, but also not the world.
Mr. Duchamp was trying to shake it free by doing that. That's the thing that
people... Yeah.
And
no,
he was
I
trying
agree.
to shake that off, and then it didn't work, and he said, screw it, I guess I'll make money, which to some extent I can't blame him, because that's the reason I'm not making money, because I haven't said screw it, let's make money yet. I really hope I don't have to. I'm counting.
I mean, if that was his one work alone that he was known for, that would be one thing. But when you actually look at his cubist and futurist works, he was a lot more talented than most people really know of. What's the painting? It's nude walking down the stairs or something.
Art is not for talent, and it's not to showcase the artist, and that's all a corruption.
That's
the problem. Nobody should ever talk about the artist or know who he is or she. That should never happen. It's already corrupt at that point. It's already over. The system's already completely broken, and the world is already well on its way down the drain by that point.
Yeah. I
mean, art should remain hidden in the margin, and we shouldn't expose it. It's not that hard. I don't understand why we have to expose everything for the age of gnosis bullshit. Is garbage.
I'm not sure if I'd agree, but I'd have to think on that.
No, we shouldn't even know who artists are.
If there were worthwhile schools and collectives, that would have been a pursuit I would have took at one time. If there was something really to hook in with that was pursuing virtue, I'm kind of at a point where I'm I think I probably have to build it, at least for myself.
Well, and the people who carve statues still to this
Yeah.
day, that's
Oh.
how they operate.
Yeah.
The people are carving statues right now, and you don't know who they are, and you're going to see them and go, wow, that's a really beautiful statue. You're never going to know who worked on that statue. That's correct. And they do it because they're possessed by a spirit and not because they're looking to be artists.
I had
Gosh,
between art schools. 7 years, I tried to not paint or do any of it. I tried to do another thing, and I can't. I can't. It's not possible. I'm gonna visually represent things. Yeah.
Yeah. That was Jonathan Peugeot at Symbolic World. Don't become an artist. Don't become an artist. Even if you're compelled to, don't become an artist. But if you're compelled to, you have to do something. Yes.
Yeah.
It's not a profession. It's not a career. It's not a thing you can choose. It's a thing that chooses you. And that should remain hidden. Like, it's this revealing of everything all over the place. It's just ridiculous. Anselman, I like Vervaeke's choice of Caspar David Friedrich's man looking over the sea of fog as a thumbnail. Okay, here's the thing about that. I didn't notice it for years. And then once I noticed it, I went, oh, he was telling us all along that he was an emergence is good age of gnosis individualist.
And it shows you his experience of the world. It shows you that he sees no value in what's underneath the fog. And
it shows you he doesn't want to cooperate with anybody ever. And like all of the messages were right there staring me in the face. And I missed all of them somehow. And I'm the signals and messages guy. So, these things are hard.
About the pottery, Mark? Should I talk about the pottery that I had to object to on the Waking from the Meaning Crisis? Or should we let it go? Sands of time.
Pottery.
Okay, so I will tell you, once upon a time ago in a Discord, long, long ago, I saw a picture. And I am familiar with this period because, the art school, and one creepy teacher who just enjoyed pointing out penises every time, which was kind of, at least he wasn't a feminist, so I actually take classes. One of the images that was chosen to represent either a channel or an activity or something was a grown man holding a not grown man stuff in a very specific way. And so I pointed it out to the Awakening server, and they said, well, you can't just erase history like that. I'm like, I can and I would. And then it was like, what are you going to do? Go into the past and kill pedophiles? So, of course, I made a meme of the time machine and said, would go in the past and kill pedophiles. Would. And then no real response to me. And then they banned one of my friends for saying the same thing. And then I'm like, sexism. If you won't ban me for saying I would go kill pedophiles in the past, but you would ban a guy for him saying he would go ban pedophiles in the past, blatant sexism. You better ban me, or you better pull down the pedophile picture. And then there was just tears, crying, and liberal sorrows. That's what happened.
Yeah, it was quite a time. That server was wild. It's too bad. We could have built so much had we not been under constant attack and then undefended by everybody. We could have built so much.
Support pedophile pottery as being the representation of activities. It's not hard.
I know it's not hard. Well, but to be fair, I mean, I think they were reading pedophile literature from philosophy, so
I wasn't.
I might need to head off. I've got to get a wisdom tooth extracted.
Oh, all right, man. Well,
this
good
week,
luck.
and I'm starting to have a tooth pain. So
no, that's not good. Yeah. Go. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
All right.
Good chat. Great discussion. Good seeing you both again, and definitely Sally, because I haven't seen you for like a long time.
No,
it's always great seeing you. Take care of yourself. Good luck with everything, business, and so on. See you guys later.
See you, Andrew. Yeah.
Could have just cropped it to the heads, and I would have moved on, but they didn't.
I know they could have done lots of things, but yeah, I mean, it's so Yeah, God, you troll. It depends on the dialectic of Hermes. Yeah, well, whatever Hermes writes in his letters. Like, this is why I don't understand why people are using his work. I'm like, the
Always,
guy is telling you he's having a conversation with a demon.
I mean,
Maybe don't like maybe stay away from
who's
that. I don't know.
was creepy first? Who wanted to pull Manu out first? It was me. I was like, it's creepy. You
I
were
know. I know.
why?
I
I
know.
have a why. I
We
just
were trying to fight it. We were trying to stay and fight it, which was still the right answer, even though your insistence that you were right first is it's still irrelevant.
creepiness.
And we told you that at the time. So don't be pretending like this is the first time you heard that. Yeah, we were trying to pull it up, and they would not do it.
No.
They there's another one, right? Oh no, the guy who kidnaps women on the internet is okay. We're not going to kick him off until she actually complains about harassment happening after the fact. Then we'll kick him off. I'm like, oh my goodness, what does it take? Do they have to murder somebody? And we're the bad guys. Mark Emanuel never did anything wrong at all. It's like, you said Verviki was evil. I said no. I said somebody who does these things you've described are evil. By the way, that's how you set people up. And if you want to take me down on a setup, go right ahead. If that's the kind of person you are, I don't belong here anyway. So that's fine. Like, we're all good. Right. And then destroyed the whole server in doing it. I'm like, good job. You destroyed your own work. Congratulations. Satan wins. Only because you let him.
To do our own things. That's
right. Well, it's harder now, but yeah. I mean,
yeah.
And we've got Michael and Castle, and we still have you, right? So
Mark, next time.
All right. See you. Have fun, Sally. Good to see you. Poor Sally. Thrice dead. It's a rough week. Sally's had a rough week. Thrice dead. Thrice dead's a rough week. All right. Unless somebody else can jump in, I'll give it a few minutes. Yeah, the one thing that really occurred to me is the importance of Joe's work with fairy tales, right? Because fairy tales give you contrast to see margins and centers more clearly, right? And there are stories that give you the integration, right? You need a story that can hold the center and the margin at the same time. Fairy tales do that. Mythos does that. There's no such thing as cross-cultural mythos, by the way. That the idea that anybody would put those words together, just I don't know. It sucks all the hope out of me of any kind for anything ever. Like, why would cross-cultural mythos? Why do people smash words together and expect them to work? I don't understand. Why are we destroying the language deliberately? Ixon thrice dead in 1 week. No, in 1 day, apparently. Like, I don't know why. It was great. I'm so glad Sally had time to come in. That's fantastic. Very fortunate for all of us. Yeah, this, the loss of fairy tales, it's on my mind just because they're talking about it in this Vander Turkey talk. It's really important, right? It's really significant to understand. And it is tied up in this loss of margins. It is tied up in this loss of understanding the value of the center and why we need to revivify it and not destroy it. All the structures are corrupt. It's like, maybe, but it's not. Corrupt structures are never a problem. Corrupt people are a problem. And, if we'll save a hooker with an OnlyFans account, then I guess we'll save the people who destroyed the institutions you claim to love so much, that are bigger than one person, by the way. Maybe sacrifice the one bad person and save the institution. Or maybe there's 10 bad people in the institution. I don't know. Maybe there's a lot. I don't know. But maybe sacrifice them and save the institution for millions. Maybe that's worth it. Like, maybe that's what we should do. Like, maybe that's important. Maybe. I don't, like, the blood's coming. Do you want to make it the bad people you kill, or do you want to make it everybody in a war? Because that seems to be how it plays out, just historically, or like looking around, or like understanding anything ever. It looks like we have two choices: kill a few bad people now we know are bad, and maybe get it wrong a couple times, but whatever. Or kill lots of innocent people in a war, because it seems like that's how it is. Like, you make the sacrifice, or the sacrifice is war. It's when you don't make proper sacrifice, you get war. Yeah, that seems about right. Not that I particularly care for Gerard's work, but most of what he says is not wrong. His tying together sacrifice and mimicry is completely stupid and totally wrong. But most of what's wrong about him is not just flat world, but also he's a heretical pagan Gnostic. So I'm a no on the pagan Gnosticism for some reason. Call me crazy. So yeah, I mean, this margin center outliers thing, where we're just sampling outliers all the time and ignoring all the the data, right? Like, oh, anybody can start a business. It's like most businesses fail. You should account for that. Right. You're not accounting for the bulk of the data so you can prove your point. This is not good. This is not good. And it's not to say you never focus on the margins, but like, we're only focusing on margins now. We're just ignoring what used to be the normative order. And then we're going, we don't know why we can't have normative order. Well, it would help if we talked about it. And not in a skeptical, cynical way, right? We could say the normative order here that worked. To leave it to Beaver was good. Like, I don't like, why is this a problem? Oh, but these are the times we're living in. I object. I don't want to live in these particular times. So what? No Castle, no Sanjuro, no Jesse, really? All right, fine. I'll give it a couple more minutes, and then I'll call it a stream. But this is important to understand these outliers and look for it. Like, look for people that are just talking about outliers or creating outliers, creating thousands more YouTube channels. Like, stop creating YouTube channels. We have too many already. More is not better in this case. And that's the problem. Oh, Dawn, what do we got, Dawn? Your videos are good, Mark. Oh, thank you. I like it. I drift off on a thought of my own from something you said and realized I missed the last minute. That's fine. I just found premium controls, so I can go back. Should improve things. Maybe it's easy. That's actually kind of a compliment, right? If I spark a thought in you and then you miss me running forward at 5,000 miles an hour, I don't think that's a bad thing, actually. I couldn't rewind precisely on my phone, so just going controls. Yeah, I watch everything on computers, but I'm also usually taking notes. You see the notes I have for this Vander Turkey Vervaeke Peugeot talk. It's already a page of notes plus. It's pretty out there. So yeah, I mean, but there's so much stuff out there, and we're flooded with stupid pet theories and history and ridiculous history. The only history videos you need to watch are on my channel with Adam. That's it. That's all the history you need. You don't need any other history. Those are good videos. I like talking about. Are we gonna do? Oh, I keep forgetting. We got to do our Russian Revolution, and I got to do more research for it. But I can do that. I can do that tomorrow, maybe. Maybe I'll get around to that tomorrow. I keep getting sucked into commentary videos and other crazy stuff, but maybe I got to get back to the basics here for a bit. And then I think I am going to do the commentary on this advent of the sacred talk. Good Lord. I just want to shoot lots of people. Like, why are you doing this? Why are you spreading this garbage out to the world? It shows the only one that makes any sense at all. It's so funny. It's funny I'm glad I don't subscribe to Vander Turkey anymore. That's just too much distraction. It's too bad. It's some of his stuff is really, really good, but it's so infrequent. Most of it's just noisy, garbage, barfy stuff. And so regressive. Like, there's just no progress being made whatsoever. It's all backwards. So yeah, it's just none of this is good. None of this is good. But look, don't pay attention to outliers. watch for people talking about outliers all the time and giving you way too much detail. Watch for people trying to pull up the veil on the hidden stuff. Like, hidden is not bad. Like, you're not supposed to know most of the things of the world. It's fine. It'll be fine. You're only going to overwhelm yourself and go insane if you try to understand more of the world than you can. And I don't know how much that is for you, but also most people don't know most of the world and they seem to be doing just fine. Maybe you could be comfortable with that too. That's a personal choice. It'll be fine. It'll be fine. And that's what to focus on and worry about, is making yourself in a place where you're comfortable and not overwhelmed and anxious. You got anxiety, you're trying to do too much. It's not that hard. And I got a video on anxiety. Maybe I'll do an anxiety course. I'm still thinking about it. It's a lot of work to do courses. And I have a lot of the research done, but I don't know. We'll see. We'll see. We got the new AIs and stuff. Maybe I'll recruit them to help me. And I got to finish my book. I didn't work on it at all this week. I'll get to it. I'll get to it this weekend, maybe. We'll see. We'll see. And then freaking Thanksgiving's coming up. Everything's going to be up in the air for that. But nothing going on next week, right? Next week we're not near Thanksgiving. I think I'll be doing a stream next week. I don't know if I can commit, but probably. Yeah, the 29th, obviously. Maybe I'll do one on the road. We'll see. We'll see. Let me know if you want one on the road. And next week, I think we're gonna shortcut the Thanksgiving thing. I'm not gonna do my usual 2-week trek up north for reasons. I used to like that, but I don't want to do that anymore. I don't. There are people I don't want to be around anymore. Exposures I want to limit. So look, everybody, I appreciate everybody watching. It looks like a pretty good draw actually today. I hope you found this helpful. Like, comment, subscribe, threaten your friends to sign up, whatever it takes. Follow me on X, all that stuff. Let me know what you think of my stuff. We need more feedback, as Sally Joe said. So listen to Sally Joe. She's wicked smart. For real, not one of these crazy individualist people anymore. We cured her of that, at least to some extent. And hopefully I'll see you all next week. And have a great week. Yeah, as Sally says, thanks for being here. And look, I mean, just keep one thing in mind, especially with all the revealing hidden stuff and the splitting and all the craziness around Outliers. The world needs you to be better. So focus on that and have a great week. And I'll see you all soon.